Yep. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting of Georges River Council. I will declare the meeting open at 7 p.m. I will start with the acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge the Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of all lands, waters, and sky in the Georges River area. I pay my respect to elders past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who live, work, and meet on these lands. If everyone could please stand for the national anthem.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth but toil, our home is the South Sea. I let the mountain ranges, gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's space, let every state advance a strength bear.
The pastor who was due to give the prayer tonight, I don't believe has arrived, so I'm going to ask the general manager to read the prayer for this evening's meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Heavenly Father, I pray that we will have a productive meeting today. I pray that we will be able to discuss and tackle the important things we need to tackle and be efficient in the handling of those things. I also pray that you give us the grace to come up with the best possible and morally right solutions that would best benefit the people we serve. In Jesus' name, and I pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Next, we move to apologies and leave of absence. That in accordance with sections 234 and 254A of the Local Government Act 1993, 1, a leave of absence be granted to Councillor Peter Marnie from 27th October 2025 to 29th November 2025. And part 2, that Councillor Marnie's councillor allowance not be paid during this period as requested by the councillors. Councillors, could I please call for a mover? Councillor Mort, and seconded by Councillor Allison, to accept that leave of absence for Councillor Marnie. All those in favour say aye. All those against? Declare that carried. Next, we have requests to attend the meeting via audio-visual link. Councillor Leon Pun and Councillor Thomas Arthur have requested to join the meeting via audio-visual link. If I could please call for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Anzalotti.
I'll second.
And seconded by Councillor Gow, that we accept that request to join the meeting via audio-visual link. Councillors, all those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare that carried. Notice of live streaming. Staff and public are reminded that this meeting is being recorded for minute-taking purposes and is also being webcast live on Council's website. This recording will be made available on Council's website. The order of business is as shown in the agenda. Council's Code of Meeting Practice prohibits the electronic recording of meetings without the express permission of Council. Disclosures of interest. There are a number of disclosures of interest that have been declared tonight. I'm going to ask the staff if they could please just bring those up on screen and slowly scroll through them. I'm not going to read them all out because it will take some time, but they are there for the webcast and will be recorded in the council minutes. Councillors, are there any other disclosures of interest to declare that have not been submitted to the staff via the Councillor Hub? No? Okay. We move to the public participation on items on the agenda. Tonight, there are 19 speakers registered for tonight's meeting. I would remind speakers that speakers have a 3-minute time limit. The first sound you hear indicates you have 1 minute remaining, and at the second sound, please conclude your comments. Our first speaker tonight is Janine Cannell, in person, speaking on CCL 09525 on EMV 03525. That is the report of the Environment and Planning Committee meeting, the withdrawal of the additional and diverse housing planning proposal. Thank you, Ms.
Start the timer.
Please go.
Good evening, councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here as a resident of O'Brien's Estate and as someone deeply invested in the integrity of our planning system and the values that underpin it. I am reluctantly speaking for the motion to withdraw the housing planning proposal due to the state government's response. I am very disappointed because the council's housing proposal would have delivered increased housing capacity without sacrificing heritage, which the state government's LMR policy fails to protect. I have frankly been equally disappointed to see Councillor Wang's continual undermining of the O'Brien's Estate HCA in the media. While Councillor Wang has the right to express his opinion, his comments reflect a misunderstanding of the value of heritage and weaponise community hardship to justify destroying heritage. For example, the public claims that elderly residents suffer through cold winters because they're barred from installing air conditioning or insulation under heritage rules. That is simply untrue. The Georges River DCP doesn't regulate internal modifications that improve comfort, safety or energy efficiency. What it protects is the external character of the streetscape. Suggesting otherwise is a deliberate distortion of policy designed to fabricate outrage and justify overdevelopment. The fact is, the HCA is one of the few remaining areas near Hurstville Station where families from across the area, including those living in all of the nearby apartments, can walk their dogs, enjoy the shade of mature trees, and connect with neighbours in a safe, welcoming environment. Far from being exclusive, the estate functions as a shared community asset, offering public benefit through its streetscape, canopy, and character. We've also heard that O'Brien's Estate must be sacrificed to enable transit-oriented development, but Hurstville fails key TOD benchmarks. It lacks the integrated infrastructure upgrades, walkable permeability, and equitable access to services. Even if some residents now support the change, many after being door-knocked with promises of profit, we must ask, should heritage be decided by those chasing financial gain? Heritage is a public good. Planning systems are meant to resist short-termism. The role of expert assessment, strategic vision, and cultural stewardship are critical. This should not be a popularity contest. Heritage controls exist precisely to protect places from being dismantled by developer pressures or shifts in sentiment. Please don't let speculative interests rewrite the narrative. Heritage is not a burden, it's a public asset, and our planning system should continue to reflect that. As you make decisions around the future of the estate, I ask that you please continue to protect the HCA for the whole community.
Thank you, Ms. Cannell. Our next speaker is Chris Skillidelis, speaking on the same item, CCL 09525, EMV 03525, report on the Environment and Planning Committee meeting, withdrawal of the additional and diverse housing planning proposal. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm also a resident of the O'Brien's Estate Heritage Conservation Area for 40 years, quite a while. I look younger than I am. My understanding of the planning proposal 2024-0004 is to amend the Georges River Environmental Plan 2021 to increase housing options across the LGA. Key changes include reducing the minimum lot sizes for dual occupancies in the R2 zones, and a request of the New South Wales Government to exclude the LGA from the proposed low and medium rise housing reform. However, as the latter seems unlikely, I support the motion to withdraw the planning proposal, conditional on a revised proposal being submitted, which considers council's master plans that will facilitate future housing growth accompanied by the required local infrastructure. I do not support a cookie cutter approach that says all suburbs, all LGAs are the same, and we already have a lot of overdevelopment in this area. Putting more units in an area that is already restricted to those units, I think will put a lot of pressure on transport, parking, and amenities that we enjoy. Furthermore, I do recommend that council include special provisions then to minimise any impact of the housing reforms and the transport-oriented development on the O'Brien's Estate Heritage Conservation Area. As an example, Ku-ring-gai Chase, many of you would be aware, voted in May last year, to commence legal action in the Land and Environment Court to challenge the TOD on the basis that it weakens local controls on heritage and setbacks in several of the precincts. And the hearing is scheduled for later this year. I'm concerned, though, to read in the Georges River Committee recommendations that there is no current or future budget allocations to complete the additional studies as required by the gateway determination conditions. I ask council to use all of its resources to protect the future, not only of the R2 zones that we have in the LGA, but importantly the conservation areas. And I believe we have 3 of those. I believe the council has an obligation to its residents to fight for our environment and quality of life. And, you know, I appreciated in the prayer a moral obligation. It is not just about money. And seeing I've got a little bit of time left, I was part of the challenge to the development in the building, the Telstra building with a big high-rise that went up. Met with Chris Minns back in 2017, who was very sympathetic to the heritage conservation area and said he would do everything he could to protect the area. Do we really want this area now to be every part of it high-rise? Is that what we really want? Do we want the congestion in the area? Do we really want to lose all the amenities that we have? We're creating all this housing for people that will come in, but where are the jobs? You know, we've just done a development, an industrial development out at Kemps Creek. That's where the jobs are. That's where a lot of the housing, the units should be developed, where the jobs are. We don't want to see housing, congestion, lack of parking, transport issues, lots of people here. Where are they going to go to work? And that is a bigger issue. Obviously, that's beyond the council. But I come back to the fact there's probably enough evidence there to be able to make a challenge to the Minns government, to be able to say, where is your commitment to these heritage conservation areas? Do not destroy them for the sake of money. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Anne Harvey, in person speaking on the same item, CCLO 525 EMB 03525, report of the Environment and Planning Committee meeting, withdrawal of the additional diverse housing planning proposal. Thank you, Ms. Harvey.
Thank you. As a response from the Department of Planning on Council's housing planning proposal, are too many onerous conditions with significant additional costs, and council still need to meet the LMR policy of 11,000 new dwellings. I agree this has left council with the only feasible option to withdraw its additional and diverse housing planning proposal. While the withdrawal is disappointing after the time and effort that council invested in the proposal, I commend them for being proactive to work on a practical solution. One of the reasons for the withdrawal is that council has several master plans currently underway to facilitate future housing growth accompanied by the required local infrastructure. As a long-term resident of O'Brien's Estate, having resided here for over 35 years, I urge council to continue to retain the HCA in O'Brien's Estate in its future housing plans, while still working to comply with the LMR and type. Removing the HCA status, constructing LRM on Todd developments in the O'Brien's estate, which is predominantly single-level dwellings, to pave the way to allow for destruction of some of the properties for new multi-storey developments would have a significant negative impact on the residents of Prodding. This would also be without regard or consideration for the overall characteristics of the existing homes and properties, or the reason why the HCA was first introduced and why it's important. There would be a detrimental effect on the existing properties in the area if the HCA was lifted, and particularly if council was to allow LMR and Todd dwellings to be incorporated within the state. Streetscape significance, a high level of continuity housing styles, landscapes and fencing, majority well-maintained houses, consistent scale, and being a representing example of rare and excellent group of substantial interwall bungalows of varying styles are the reasons listed as to why the HCA is important. The HCA demonstrates council awareness and their recognition of the heritage significance and cultural values this area brings. Hurstville already has a large number of LMR and Todd buildings, and with the apartments on Waddyera Road and top of Greenbank Street being in close to proximity to O'Brien's estate, there is no need to further expand to the existing homes nearby. This shouldn't be driven by developers' profit objectives or looking at a map and deciding, oh, this is within the set distance from the station, therefore this is the chosen area. Thank you.
Yes. Our next speaker is a written submission from Rishi Achara on NM 08725, Acknowledgement of Nepalese Community Achievements and Future Opportunities.
I'm the outgoing president of the Nepalese Australian Association. I am speaking today on behalf of all members of the Nepalese community living in our local area. First of all, I would like to express my full support for motion NM 08725 put forward by Councillor Nancy Liu. Madam Mayor, the Nepalese community is now one of the fastest growing migrant communities in Australia. Here in the Georges River area, a significant number of residents are Nepalese heritage, and they make meaningful contributions to the local economy and the vibrant multicultural character of our community. This year's Dashain and Tihar Mela, held at Hurstville Plaza on the 27th of September, was a wonderful success, creating a vibrant, inclusive space to celebrate and share Nepalese culture with the wider community. We are also proud that the Nepalese Australian Association secured a $1 million commitment from the federal government to deliver an urgently needed community facility for the Nepalese community in this area. However, as a growing and emerging community, our capacity to fund such a project independently remains limited. The $1 million is a strong start, but more support is needed to make this vision a reality. That is why our natural partner in this endeavour has been our local council. For several years, NAA has worked closely with council to find the most effective solution within the resources available. We are very pleased to see significant progress in the delivery of the new Peakhurst Park Community Centre, and NAA is proud to be collaborating with council on this important project. This community centre will serve multiple purposes for the Nepalese community. A venue where NAA and other organisations can promote Nepalese culture, heritage and hospitality, enriching Australia's multicultural fabric, a social destination for young parents, mothers groups and grandparents of Nepalese background, a meeting place for seniors to discuss relevant local issues such as childcare, healthcare and transport, and to connect socially with peers, a space that fosters trust and social bonding, helping community members overcome language barriers and share experiences openly, facilities for recreational activities and group social therapy to support mental health and well-being, a venue for worship, cultural celebrations and life events from birth to death that reflect our unique traditions and religious practices, a place to host meetings, training sessions and awareness programs to promote government and community services, a shared multicultural space accessible to other cultural groups, and most importantly, a place our community can feel a sense of ownership and pride in. In closing, I would like to sincerely thank all councillors and council staff for their continued support and hard work.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Justin Chan, also a written submission on NM 08825, supporting dementia awareness and community initiatives.
I am the current chairman of the Community Support Foundation Australia, CSFA. On behalf of our organisation, I would like to extend our heartfelt congratulations to Georges River Council on being recognised by Dementia Australia as an organisation working towards dementia friendly, and to express our sincere appreciation to the Council and in particular to Councillor Nancy Liu for your long-standing commitment to community welfare and charitable causes. That is why I'm here to support her NOM 8825, supporting dementia awareness and community initiatives. Established in 2023 in Riverwood within the Georges River local government area, CSFA is an independent, non-profit, non-religious and non-government charitable organisation. It was co-founded by Jenny Hong, Vincent Kong OAM and me, together with a group of passionate community leaders, entrepreneurs and philanthropists. Our mission is to bridge the gap between government and community resources in supporting vulnerable groups, starting in New South Wales and gradually expanding across Australia. Our services focus on supporting elderly people living alone and dementia patients, new migrants and international students, women and children affected by domestic violence or abuse, individuals suffering from accidents or missing persons cases, victims of bushfires, floods and other natural disasters. Our team comprises experienced professionals dedicated to financial transparency and effective management, ensuring that every donation directly benefits those in genuine need. According to the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare and Dementia Australia, as of 2024, there are over 425,000 Australians living with dementia, nearly 2/3 of whom are women. Dementia has become the leading cause of death among women and the second leading cause of death nationwide. In the Georges River area, each year we see multiple incidents related to dementia, including missing persons, accidents, and family caregiving difficulties. This is not only a medical concern, but also an urgent public health and community safety challenge. Under the leadership of Jenny Hong, Vincent Kong, myself, and the CSFA founding team, and with the efforts of all our members, we successfully held the Caring for Seniors with Dementia charity event on 11 October 2025 at the ICC Sydney Piermont Theatre, Darling Harbour. The full-day event attracted nearly 2,000 participants, including seniors, family caregivers and community service professionals. It received enthusiastic support from Councillor Nancy Liu, community leaders, philanthropists and caring members of the public. We sincerely hope that Georges River Council will continue to support the CSFA in advancing the following community initiatives: continuing to establish dementia-friendly communities in alignment with the Council's current dementia-friendly action plan, hosting health seminars and art therapy programs to raise awareness of dementia and reduce stigma and social isolation, providing respite and counselling services for caregivers to offer emotional support and practical guidance for families caring for dementia. Once again, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Madam Mayor for your leadership, to Councillor Nancy Liu for your active involvement and dedication, and to all councillors for your attention and support.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gary Walters on NM 08825, supporting dementia awareness and community initiatives. And we have another written submission.
I am Gary Walters, Business Solutions Consultant from Dementia Australia. I am delighted to support Councillor Nancy Liu's motion supporting dementia awareness and community initiatives. It is critical that we acknowledge the positive impact that local council initiatives have on facilitating an all-of-community approach to providing genuine quality of life support for people living with dementia and their families. Facing the unfortunate fact that dementia is now the leading cause of death in Australia, there is a long road ahead to understanding cause, treatments and prevention. We cannot wait. There is an immediate challenge of providing support and improving quality of life for people affected now, especially people at disadvantage. Dementia does not discriminate, but a person's culture and life story has a profound impact on a person's journey with dementia. Respect for the person has a powerful influence on how to approach care and support families impacted when a loved one is living with dementia. There is much to be done to educate people and address stigma and discrimination within and across diverse cultures. I feel your local community can be proud of the dedication and passion that Councillor Nancy Liu and the team at Georges River Council have towards inclusivity and supporting people living with dementia. All of us at Dementia Australia express our gratitude for the opportunity to continue the important collaboration with Georges River Council, a leader and example for other councils. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kelly Sloan MP. It's a written submission on NM 08825, supporting dementia awareness and community initiatives.
I am Kelly Sloan MP, Member for Vaucluse and Shadow Minister for Health of New South Wales Parliament. I want to commend Nancy Liu, Georges River Council and the Community Support Foundation for the important work they are doing to advocate for people living with dementia. Supporting people living with dementia and working to ensure fewer people get dementia is a job for all of us. From grassroots organisations to government, we all have a role to play. In Australia today, there are over 433,000 people living with dementia. Sadly, the number is projected to increase to an estimated 812,500 people by 2054. 1.7 million people are involved in the care of people with dementia in Australia right now. We know many of these people are unpaid carers looking after loved ones, doing their best, whether that is a parent, grandparent, or husband or wife. While there remains no cure for dementia, there are things all of us can do to reduce your risk of dementia. In fact, we know that roughly 45% of all dementia cases can be prevented. There is no single magic wand solution to preventing dementia. Instead, it is about the lots of little things you can do every day that up to a big reduction in your dementia risk. Getting regular health checks, looking after your body, looking after your mind. But the reality is that these preventative health measures and the care that is provided to someone who is living with dementia can be made all the harder for people from multicultural communities, especially where English is not their first language. In New South Wales, we are so lucky to have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. The former New South Wales Liberal and National Government had a strong track record of investing in health system, but also ensuring our health system was more responsive and understanding of the health needs of multicultural communities. In 2019, we launched the New South Wales Plan for Healthy, Culturally and Linguistically Diverse Communities 2019 to 2023. The purpose of this plan was to ensure people of culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds have equitable access to healthcare services that are culturally responsive, safe and high quality. This strategy set out mandatory requirements for New South Wales health organisations, including strategies in place to improve access and quality of care for people of culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, support provided for people of culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds to build their health literacy so they can be actively involved in decisions about their health. Health organisations are responsive to people's individual needs, language and culture. An understanding of the needs, experiences and identities of culturally and linguistically diverse communities in New South Wales. While this strategy was an important first step, there is still more work to do. Part of that work needs to be more ambitious shift towards health prevention. To do that, we as policymakers need to ensure we are engaging with local government and diverse communities so that we develop new preventative health policies as they are effective as they can be. I commend Councillor Liu's motion on this important topic.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Stephen Farrington, in person, speaking on NM 09025, traffic issues Roberts Avenue, Mortdale.
Mayor, councillors, firstly, I must thank the council officers for their ongoing management of the long-standing concerns about traffic congestion on Roberts Avenue. But this now marks my 6th appearance at the council in the 25 years I've lived in Roberts Avenue that I've deemed it necessary to speak regarding the traffic issues on Roberts Avenue. Not because of problems or issues raised by council staff, but as a result of councillors and local members of government wanting to have a roundabout built at the B streets, and nothing in the motion before council makes me think that this is any different. Although the first of my representations at council meeting did not occur until April 2013, it wasn't the first communication I had with council regarding the need for a roundabout. In January 2005, I responded to a request from council regarding the proposal from the Hurstville Council Traffic Advisory Committee for a roundabout to be constructed at the intersection of Beatty Street and Roberts Avenue. This resulted in the first of a number of traffic studies and surveys of Roberts Avenue by the council's traffic engineers and external specialists. The next one was undertaken by the developers of Mortdale Plaza, where Woolworths Dale located, in support of their development application. This was followed by 2 in 2013 that firstly stated a roundabout at Beatty Street and then a set of traffic lights. There was a further assessment of Roberts Avenue traffic flows in 2019 when there was an alteration to the development application for Mortdale Plaza. None of these expensive surveys and reports has resulted in any recommendations other than the extension of some no standard zones, which were duly undertaken, and giveaway signs, which are yet to be installed. The most recent report was developed in 23-24 in support of a request for federal black spot funding for Roberts Avenue. Roberts Avenue did just to meet the minimum requirements to qualify. It turned out it was just another request to fund a roundabout and a raised pedestrian crossing, not to address any of the real issues with traffic in Roberts Avenue. The Local Transport Forum recently published a list of the outstanding traffic studies. And while Roberts Avenue is on that list, their priority is set as medium. Is another study survey of Roberts Avenue required? The council's own specialists don't believe it is a priority, and neither do I. Is there a traffic problem? Yes, there is, but it's not confined to Roberts Avenue. This issue requires a more holistic assessment of traffic movement across Georges River Council area, as Roberts Avenue is used as connection between suburbs, and focusing just on a solution for Roberts Avenue, if in fact one can be found, it will simply move the problem somewhere else. So I respectfully urge the council to act in accordance with the recommendation of the specialist and vote against this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thornton. Next speaker is a written submission, David Thompson, on NM 09025, traffic issues, Roberts Avenue, Mortdale.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the residents of the B Streets in Mortdale Heights regarding the ongoing issues and overdue rectification of traffic pedestrian issues when entering and exiting this precinct. Having lived in the B Streets for the last 18 years, I have seen firsthand the issues that are now significantly impacting the safety of my family and neighbours, and believe that something needs to be done urgently to address the safety of commuters. As you will all be aware, the level of traffic along Roberts Avenue has been steadily increasing now for many years. This was significantly accelerated when the Woolworths development was approved last decade and has continued to grow as local housing development has increased population numbers and local bus services have declined with the centralisation of services. We now have more traffic using this thoroughfare than we've ever seen before, and this has degraded commuter safety to an unacceptable level. As a result, something needs to be done now. As early as 2011, I raised this issue with our local state representative, Mark Fouret, who sits on the local traffic committee, as I was already observing the start of the issues that I will highlight tonight. And they have only compounded further ever since. Over the last 14 years, there have been several mediocre attempts to placate the residents, with many traffic studies, minor parking changes and consultants' reports being completed, but sadly they've all been allowed to be put in the too hard basket over time and not properly addressed. In 2023-24, it appeared that there was some focus on this issue when the residents were told that the council had approved plans for a roundabout on the corner of Beatty Street, Roberts Avenue, and had subsequently applied to the federal Black Spot program for funding support. This was recorded in the April 24 TAC minutes. I have been persistent with requests for this issue to be followed up and delivered, but this has disappointingly fallen on deaf ears by all of those who sit on the Traffic Advisory Committee. I now fear that somebody will be seriously injured or die if something isn't done urgently. There are several issues that I would like to specifically highlight that need immediate attention. Safety when entering the B Streets. When residents are trying to exit or enter the B Streets, they are regularly forced to make unrealistic judgments. Visibility is a major factor, and this results in regular near misses and or collisions. Besides the removal of all parking along both sides of Roberts Avenue, which would be very unfair to local businesses residents, there needs to be a more robust solution implemented. A roundabout or traffic lights would be ideal. Pedestrian access to bus stops. For many residents who try to utilise public transport to get to work, school, they persistently need to take their lives into their own hands, trying to cross over Roberts Avenue from the B Streets to the two bus stops adjacent to this stretch of road. Often these are young school kids who don't always have the best road sense, as well as elderly people who aren't very quick on their feet. Although Roberts Avenue is a 50 km/h zone, many motorists are exceeding these limits, especially when heading west down the hill, and this makes this process very dangerous. Parking restrictions around intersections. For motorists trying to turn right into any of the B Streets when travelling east along Roberts, they are often seen to be holding up the long streams of traffic behind them due to parking being allowed around these intersections. This has several negative impacts, including added traffic congestion, the potential for road rage, and most importantly, the pressure to make unsafe turns due to these factors.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Roy Cho, also a written submission on NM 09125 Pecos West Swimming Pool.
The Pecos West swimming pool was first built in 1956 and later underwent 2 major extensions and upgrades, with the current infrastructure completed in 1991. It is a true community pool, both funded and built by local residents through their collective efforts. At that time, the former Hurstville City Council played an important role throughout the process by providing approval, coordination and financial assistance on 2 occasions. These historical details are well documented in Pecos West Heated Pool, the history of a community project 1956 to 1991. As a community-based facility, the pool has long been managed by the Pecos West Pool Cooperative, with operating costs shared by community users. Over the years, this pool has served 4 swimming clubs in the Georges River area, aquatherapy groups supporting seniors and people with disabilities, and local community swim schools. Since 2022, Pecos West Public School has managed the pool, and in late 2024, it was officially taken over by the New South Wales Department of Education. We are pleased to see that in May this year, the Department of Education under New South Wales Government invested in replacing the pool roof and adding an accessible change room, giving this historically significant community asset a renewed future. However, we have also noted that the department is considering engaging a private operator to manage this 60-year-old community pool. This would present a real challenge for the long-standing community organisations that have been based here for decades. For many years, the swim schools and clubs at Pecos West Swimming Pool have provided affordable swimming lessons to children from low-income families in the Georges River area, particularly those living in the Riverwood public housing community. This affordability and accessibility have been made possible precisely because of the pool's community-based nature. I sincerely urge Georges River Council to advise the Department of Education that, regardless of future decisions about pools management or ownership, the continuity of existing community users must be given top priority. Finally, I would like to once again express my gratitude to the Council for its support in helping us with temporary facility arrangements during the pool's roof renovation.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Leah Pediment, speaking in person on NM 09225, the significance of the Pole Depot Park.
Good evening. I'd like to thank Councillor Christina Jamieson and Project Penshurst for advocating for this community initiative. This evening, I need you to understand the vital role that parks play in our young families' lives. Being a parent is tough. Navigating the journey of raising children is nothing that can be explained until you're living it. The saying goes, it takes a community. The phrase is universal for a reason. It speaks to the truth that raising children should not be done in isolation. It's a shared responsibility, and that's why our local community must remain strong, connected and supported with accessible spaces where families can thrive. In our growing suburb, just as the prior speaker was talking about, we need more than houses and roads. We need places where our children can run, explore, grow physically, emotionally and socially. Parks are not just playgrounds. They're classrooms without walls. They're gyms without fees, and a sanctuary for the overstimulated minds and the rising number of children with additional needs. And let's be honest, we can't talk more about getting our kids off screens and out back into the world. The opportunities for children are endless when we invest in their early years. But let's not forget the impact on parents, which is just as profound. We're living through a mental health crisis, depression, anxiety, and even suicide touching families everywhere. I ask you, can you relate? I'm sure that there has been someone in your life or family that has been touched in some way. That's why I speak on behalf of families when I say community spaces matter. They're not just a luxury, they're a lifeline. 2-parent families are challenged 24/7. A trip to the park becomes a moment of peace and a chance to reconnect. But for single parents, we live at parks, and I'm brave enough to say that from experience. I'm a single mum of 2 young children, and even though I have the most amazing support 5 days of the week, 2 days it's just me. And on those days, those parks are my sanctuary. It's where I survive and it's where I breathe. I'll never forget a moment that I was faced with an incredibly challenging situation at a park. I was overwhelmed and I was about to step off the edge. Another parent, a complete stranger, approached me. and said, I'm so proud of you for not losing your absolute crumpet. And even though that line makes me laugh now, that reminded me that I wasn't alone, and it was an act of kindness that saved my life. So when I say it takes a community to raise children, let's mean it. Let's think of the families that can't afford childcare, the grandparents in their 70s and 80s looking after the little ones all day, the parents are out working, because this is life for us. I'm sure you can relate. The elderly in apartments with no transport, no access, no escape would give anything for a nearby park to bring joy and calm to their lives. Let's build a community that supports every parent, every child, and every grandparent. Let's invest in those spaces that give life. Parks are not just places, they're a pillar of hope. Thank you.
Ms. Taberner, thank you for your vulnerability and sharing your story. It's really moving, and if people need support, there is support available for members of our community. So thank you for sharing your story. Our next speaker is Amy Burton, speaking in person on NM 09225, Significance of Pole Depot Park.
Thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak this evening about the impact that shutting the park equipment at Pole Depot in St George's Park has had on local parents in the area. Firstly, a bit about my own experience. My 5-year-old daughter goes to St Declan's in Penshurst, and she regularly attends the local after-school program, which is based opposite St George's Park. There's about 100 kids there each day from multiple schools, and even more for the very popular school holiday programs. It's a lifeline for working parents like me. My daughter and her friends regularly tell me that they're bored at after school care, and that's not because the staff who run it aren't doing a wonderful job. They are. It's because there's nothing for them to do outside. After sitting in the classroom most of the day, she and her friends want to be climbing, practicing monkey bars, sliding, swinging on the play equipment with one another, but instead they see the playground closed off to them because it's old, weathered and splinter riddled. It's also risky in winter because the area is poorly lit and there's a risk of them tripping over on uneven pavement. And you may not realise this, but during the school holiday program, staff have to hire buses to take all 100 kids on excursions to neighbouring playgrounds like Jubilee Park and Penshurst Park to keep the kids occupied, all because the playground that's right in front of them is unsafe and insufficient. It feels like such a wasted opportunity that a playground that could be used and loved by hundreds of kids each day is sitting there in disrepair. And my 3-year-old son and many kids from neighbouring daycares are also missing out on short daycare excursions to local playgrounds. The closest parks to visit are the ones that I've mentioned now, and both fail to pass a risk assessment in which the local childcare services are governed to conduct for child safety. No local playground should be so unsafe and neglected, and there's no other playground close enough, so they don't get excursions anymore. Secondly, I'd like to share the experience of the 1,000 local parents who can't be here tonight, or like Ralph have asked me to speak on their behalf, and many of whom live in the apartment complexes surrounding Pole Depot in St George's Park. Many of these parents are my friends, and these playgrounds are a source of much discussion and frustration between us. Many of these parents are new or recently arrived migrants who specifically chose to live in the area as it's walking distance to Penshurst train station, lots of shops, daycare, schools and religious institutions. Many of these families cannot afford a car, so these playgrounds provide the only viable green spaces within 1 kilometre of walking distance. The 1 kilometre plus to Olds Park or Penshurst Park just isn't an option with young kids because it involves walking along a very busy forest road. I wouldn't dare try it with my kids. So with Pole Depot and St George Park in their current states, thousands of families have no playground options for their children. They don't have their own backyards and they need somewhere to release all their energy. It's simply not fair that they don't have that opportunity. So I just ask that the local council works with the local community to repair these playgrounds for the benefit of our future generation. And before I finish, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Project Penshurst and Councillor Christine Jamieson for working tirelessly to better our neighbourhood. Parents from all around are so grateful to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Belton. Our next speaker is Nikki Paris, speaking in person on NM09225, Significance of Pole Depot Park.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nikki Paris and I'm from Project Penshurst. According to the 2021 census, Penshurst has the second highest population in the Georges River Council, when including suburbs that partially fall within the boundary. The majority of these residents live in the apartments surrounding Pole Depot Park. The Pole Depot building and the two parks on either side are situated in the most densely populated and active parts of Penshurst and Mortdale. The area is surrounded by blocks of apartments filled with young families, parents and carers who work long hours to make ends meet. Many parents have told me they moved to this area because of the park. They don't have backyards. Many live in multi-generational families crammed in small units, and the park was meant to be their children's playground. But right now, that playground is failing them. On the Forest Road side, the smaller park is in such poor condition that when the local preschool conducts its risk assessment for excursions, it fails to meet safety criteria. On the Pole Depot side, where more than 100 children attend before and after school and vacation care every day, the situation is even worse. There's no seating for parents or grandparents with disabilities and no safety fencing, even though it's right next to a busy car park and Forest Road. To make matters worse, the play equipment has been out of action for nearly a year and is too old and damaged to repair. We've been told that the play equipment will not be replaced, but will all be moved to the smaller playground directly on Forest Road and thus create a passive green space in front of the Pole Depot. The community doesn't need or want a passive green space. The community needs a new playground. Every afternoon, this park overflows with children. There are simply too many kids and not enough space. Moving them all through a car park and a narrow corridor to the front area, already packed with young children, just isn't safe or realistic. And for many families, the nearest alternative park is over a kilometre away. We can't cram all the play equipment onto one side and call it a solution. The demand is too great and our first priority must be our children. So I ask you honestly, are the children living in these apartments attending preschool and after school care being provided for? Right now, the answer is no. It's time to properly invest in the Pole Depot Park to expand it, improve it and restore it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Robert Chisanotti, speaking in person on NM09425, traffic issues, intersection of Wren Street and Park Road, Cogra.
Good evening, everyone. I want to address the issue with Park Road and Wren Street. I assume most of you have driven to the airport at some stage. You would have come down Park Road, you would have gone past Wren Street, and I guarantee you, you would have stopped there waiting for someone to turn right into Wren Street, and you would have been tapping the steering wheel saying, why hasn't council fixed it? Well, I'm here to ask council to fix it, okay? Now, the issue is, it's a T intersection. Tonight I drove past and there were 3 cars parked there. There is no way, if you're coming from Hurstville to Ramsgate and there's cars coming the other way and there's 2 or 3 cars turning, you have to wait. There's no way round it. Now, further down the street, council has fixed it. At YE Street, they've put a dogleg in. Great idea. Why hasn't it been done here? Has anyone been there to look at it? Have you driven past it? It's also a safety issue. You can't turn right there at peak hour. It's impossible. You have to go left and then turn right to go around the block. So the other option would also be put a no stopping sign and no crossing, leave the intersection free so those cars can turn when the traffic banks up. So, I mean, I can't tell you much more about it. It's an issue. It's a safety issue. I've lived in that area for 55 years and I've lived in the same street for 50. And I've seen Park Road grow from a little road to almost a major road now. And the money hasn't been spent on it to upgrade it. And I'll leave it at that. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kipalani. Our next speaker is Mr. Robert Bruce Dixon in person on NM 09425, traffic issues, intersection of Wren Street and Park Road, Kogarah Bay.
Good evening, councillors. Thanks for the opportunity. I concur what Robert was just saying. I just add a few extra things. One is the problem from Park Road and the Princess Highway intersection to Glenview Street. That's where the problem is, because when you come off the Princess Highway onto Park Road, once you get to John Street, it's a clear way, and then from John Street to Merton Street, it's no stopping from 3 to 6 p.m. If they extended the no stopping signs to Glenview Street, it's going to give us 2 lanes right through to Glenview Street. That way, you're not banked up trying to turn into Wren Street. Wren Street is an absolute nightmare. Some days it'd be easy to pick the winner of the Milton Cup and get out of Wren Street. I can tell you that now. It takes less time. And it's just ridiculous that some people, you see them backing up out of Wren Street backwards to go down to Carlton, Crescent to get out of the Kogarah Bay area. So these, and honestly, the most economical way for the council would be just to extend those no stopping signs and to put a clear sign on the road similar to what they've got over on Terry Street and Heath Road at Blakehurst, 2 gigantic white lines with written in the middle, keep clear, and it's working there. It's only a very small street, that little section there, whereas Park Road is a thoroughfare. You just, like Rob said, it's like a nightmare there of an afternoon. Saturday mornings, you might as well just give up. Drive around the cars parked, go down Carwara Avenue and go up to the highway and turn right at the traffic lights. So that's virtually what we've been at for quite a while, and we would love to see something done. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Our next speaker is David Ide in person on NM 09525.
Madam Mayor, David has sent his apologies to me. He's still recovering from back surgery and appreciates Councillor Jamieson having given him a call and found his contact details today to inform him that he can stay home and await the outcome of tonight.
So Mr. Ide is not speaking tonight. Okay. We move to the next speaker, which is Mr. George Andonovsky in person on NM 09625 for traffic calming measures.
Good evening, councillors. Thank you for the chance to speak today. I'm hoping to put some attention on some bad driving happening on Waratah Street and the intersection of Waratah, Linwood and Mooney Avenue. This part of Blakehurst is somewhat of a rat run that brings cars from far and wide to come through to skip the traffic lights and congestion on King George's Road. The main problem we have around this particular road and this particular intersection is people driving way too fast and recklessly. The roads here are shared with the local pedestrians, people walking with kids, people walking their dogs, people young and old. Pedestrians use the roads as there are no footpaths because they're back streets and people don't really expect people to be driving as fast as what they do. The video I've compiled, I think is up on the screen, demonstrates the level of reckless driving that is happening. You'll see lots of smoke and people doing all sorts of things. Every neighbour I've spoken to share the same concerns and think we all agree that traffic calming measures need to be applied as a matter of urgency before an accident happens. which I think is only a matter of time. The burnouts and the noise some of these cars frightened my kids and even myself. One night a fellow did a burnout so intense that he made my smoke alarm in my house go off. I'm aware of traffic monitoring strips that have been used to gauge what's happening in the area. The problem that I've seen with this method is the same drivers that menace people in the neighbourhood with their cars slow down when they see these sort of things laid across the road. I'm hoping the video footage can put a better light on the situation in this particular area. It would be great to put a stop to this sort of antisocial behaviour that's causing residents great distress. I think recognising the problem will be a great start. Applying some traffic instruments to stop what's happening would be a great relief for residents. We're finding the current environment unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Angela Dionysopoulos, written submission on NM 09725, Overland Flow Floodplain Risk Management Study and Plan.
I address you today in support of NM 09725, which rightly calls for an independent peer review of the 2023 Overland Flow Floodplain Risk Management Study and Plan for the Hurstville, Mortdale and Peakhurst wards. This motion acknowledges serious concerns regarding the study's technical accuracy, model reliability and compliance with the New South Wales Floodplain Development Manual. It also highlights the need for rigorous verification before the study informs any local environmental plan, flood planning maps or development controls, especially given its potential impact on tens of thousands of residents and businesses. As noted in Part C of the motion, the reported community engagement was alarmingly low, just 17 written submissions, 2 book sessions and 6 phone inquiries. This is despite the study's implications for large sections of our community, including property tagging and 10.7 certificates that could devalue homes and restrict development. This lack of participation is not coincidental. It reflects systemic barriers to community voice. My 95-year-old mother, who lives on Norfolk Avenue, never received any flood notification from council, nor did her neighbour. We only became aware of the study through a newspaper article and word of mouth. On 22 September 2025, my written submission, along with one from my mother, Athena, was cancelled mid-meeting due to the public forum on question with notice QNN 00925. These submissions were prepared to provide meaningful input on the very issues before you today. Their cancellation without clear justification or adherence to procedure silenced critical community voices and contributed to the limited engagement now cited in NM 09725. This exclusion not only stifled direct input, but also discouraged broader participation and eroded public trust. The 2016 Overland Flow study identified more flood-affected properties than the 2023 version, yet it was never implemented. Now the 2023 study, despite tagging fewer properties, imposes stricter controls that contradict state government approvals. Property values have dropped and families are left in distress. For elderly residents like my mother, this exclusion adds to the harm. The director's comments claim comprehensive engagement and mal notifications, yet we received none. The remedies proposed in parts D through G of the motion, such as an audit, direct mail, multilingual materials, ward-based sessions, and a best practice engagement summary, are not only reasonable but essential. Sutherland Shire Council, using the same consultancy, conducted thousands of engagements, ultimately scrapped their study and restarted the process by listening to their community. We should do the same for transparency, accountability and fairness. I urge Council to adopt NM 09725 in full, allowing the speech today as a step forward, but rebuilding trust requires more. It demands genuine, inclusive engagement. Let's ensure every voice is heard. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll respond to this submission in detail when we debate the item, but I do want to just address the comments that the written submission last month was cancelled mid-meeting during the public forum without clear justification or adherence to procedure. So I obviously made that decision at the last council meeting to halt that speech because it was not in accordance with the code of meeting practice. The speech was speaking to an item on the business paper, but the topic of the speech did not relate to the item on the business paper. So when we register to speak, it has to be in relation to the motion that is published on the business paper. And last month that was that the 2016 flood study be made available to the public. So had the speech been about the importance of making that available or transparency of that information being made available, the speech would have been able to proceed, but the speech was not about that. It was about the merits of the 2023 flood study, and that is the reason why it didn't proceed, because it was not in accordance with the Code of Meeting Practice. The last speaker tonight is Cara Hickman, speaking in person on question with notice 03925, Edgbaston Road, Beverly Hills car park. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors and staff. I realise I'm the last speaker, so I hope I can have your attention for just a few minutes more. My name is Cara and I'm a resident of Beverly Hills. I'm speaking tonight about Councillor Wang's question with notice on the sale of the former Beverly Hills car park at Edgbaston Road. A question that asks for something very simple: transparency and fairness. Council's written response goes into detail about negotiations, acquisition powers and resolutions, but it does not answer the core questions. How was the $9 million spent? What is being reinvested back into Beverly Hills? And will any of that money be set aside to replace what our community has lost? So let's look at the facts. Transport for New South Wales paid more than $9 million to council for that land, a community-owned car park. Then the state government spent over $10 million more to build a new multi-storey commuter facility on that site. So while Transport for New South Wales has clearly invested in infrastructure, the question is, what has council done for Beverly Hills in return? Apart from continuing to ask Transport for New South Wales for 3 hours of free parking, there has been no clear investment, no local project, and no compensation for the residents and small businesses who lost their community car park. That land once provided everyday convenience for local people, shoppers, families, workers. Now it's a commuter facility for regional users, and our residents are left circling the block looking for spaces or paying for fines in their local suburb. Council's response also says that the sale proceeds were placed in a commercial property reserve to fund future income generating assets, but none of those assets are in Beverly Hills. That means a $9 million local windfall has disappeared into a citywide pool, and our community has been left behind. Council also notes that the interest from the sale strengthens general revenue, but strengthening general revenue is not the same as strengthening Beverly Hills. This isn't about the legality of the sale. It's about fairness, trust, and accountability. If a local public asset is sold, some of that value should return to the local area that lost it. So tonight I'm asking council to do three things. One, publicly disclose exactly how the $9 million was used. Two, quarantine a portion of those funds into a Beverly Hills parking and amenity reinvestment fund to deliver a visible return to our community. And three, develop a practical local parking solution, not just more advocacy letters to Transport for New South Wales. Because after all of this, the state has paid for the land and built the car park. It's time for our council to show what it has done for Beverly Hills. Thank you.
That concludes the public forum, and we now move to the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. That is item CCL 09125, confirmation of the minutes of the extraordinary council meeting held on the 22nd of September 2025. That's been moved by Councillor Jamieson, seconded by Councillor Liu. Councillors, any discussion on the confirmation of the minutes? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare it carried. Next, we have CCL 09225, confirmation of the minutes of the council meeting held on the 22nd of September 2025. I could call for a mover, moved by Councillor Liu, seconded by Councillor Lansbury. Councillors, any discussion on the confirmation of those minutes? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare it carried. Next, we have condolences. Councillors, are there any condolence motions on the business paper tonight? Sorry, for discussion tonight. I don't believe so. We will move to the committee reports. The first one is CCL 09325. That is the report of the Assets and Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 13th of October 2025. Councillor Mort.
I move the recommendation of the staff as published in the report.
Thank you, Councillor Mort, and that's been seconded by Councillor Liu. Councillors, any discussion? If not, I will put the item. All those in favour say aye. All those against? Declare it carried. Next, we move to CCL 09425. That's the report of the Community and Culture Committee meeting held on the 13th of October 2025. Councillor Lansbury.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move that the Community and Culture Committee recommendations for item COM 044-25 to COM 045-25 as detailed below be adopted by Council.
Thank you, Councillor Lansbury. That's been seconded by Councillor Liu. Councillors, any discussion? If not, I'll put the item. Put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? Declare that carried. Next, we move to CCL 09525, report of the Environment and Planning Committee meeting held on the 13th of October 2025. Councillor Ellison, I believe you're going to move that in Councillor Marnie's absence.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'll just move, excuse me. I move the recommendation of the staff as published.
And Councillor Lansbury, are you seconding that? Seconded by Councillor Lansbury. Councillors, any discussion? If not, just before I put the motion, I would like to thank the speakers who have come in tonight to speak on the withdrawal of the additional diverse housing planning proposal. Thank you for putting forward the case on behalf of your community in O'Brien's estate on the importance of the heritage conservation areas. And we remain disappointed that the state government did not see merit to proceed with our planning proposal in lieu of the LMR, which would have enabled us to protect the heritage conservation areas. But thank you for making your representations tonight. Councillors, I will put the motion of the Environment and Planning Committee meeting held on the 13th of October, moved by Councillor Ellison and seconded by Councillor Lansbury. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare it carried. Next, we move to CCL 09625, report of the Finance and Governance Committee meeting held on the 13th of October 2025. Councillor Jamieson.
I move the recommendation of the committee.
Thank you, Councillor Jamieson. If I could call for a seconder, please. Councillor Ellison has seconded that. Thank you, Councillor Ellison. Councillors, any discussion on the Finance and Governance Committee paper? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? Declare it carried. Next, we move to Finance and Governance items, CCL 09725, application pursuant to Councillor Ward Discretionary Fund Policy 2025. Councillor Jamieson.
I move the recommendation of staff.
And that is being seconded by Councillor Liu. Councillors, any discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare it carried. Now we move to assets and infrastructure items. The first one being CCL 09825, which is licence to 7-Eleven for Harold Freezy groundwater monitoring. Councillor Mort. So hang on, Councillor Johnson, just go ahead. Sorry, Councillor Jamieson had a light on, it was preventing you from speaking. You're seconding the motion, Councillor Jamieson, are you?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I move the recommendation of the staff as published in the report.
Thank you, Councillor Mott. Councillors, is there any discussion on this item? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
All those against? I declare it carried. Next, we have CCL 09925, Oatley Bay Memorial Boardwalk Construction Budget Update. Councillor Mort.
I move the recommendation of the staff as published in this report.
Seconded by Councillor Lansbury. Councillors, any discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Declare it carried. We move to CCL 100-25, Pecos Park Community Centre Budget Update. Councillor Mort.
I move the recommendation of the staff as published in this report.
It's been seconded by Councillor Liu. Councillors, any discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare it carried. Councillor Jamieson.
Would I be able to move a procedural motion so that the members can leave in regards to the
So you want to move the procedural motion to move NM 09225, the significance of the Pole Depot Park, to be discussed as the first notice of motion in the meeting?
Yes, thank you.
That's been moved by Councillor Jamieson. It's a procedural motion, so we don't need a seconder. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare that procedural motion carried. And now we will go to that notice of motion, NM 092-25, the significance of the Pole Depot Park. Councillor Jamieson. And that's been seconded by Councillor Mort.
Thank you. So I'd like to thank everyone who attended the council meeting, especially the little people over there. So thank you. And by acknowledging the tremendous effort the community has made to show how important this park is to the people it serves. Your presence, your voices and your stories have made a real difference. Leah's story, Raf's story in particular, have been deeply moving. They remind us that every decision we make has a real impact on people's daily lives, and that our role as councillors and as a council is to ensure our community has the facilities it needs and deserves. This has been a powerful reminder of why we are here and who we are here for. I also want to recognise the significant effect that closing this park, even temporarily, has had on the community. This park is unique. One side faces the busy Forest Road in Penshurst, while the other opens onto St George's Road, divided by 3 bridges building in the centre. Because of this layout, it's clear that the park must have the capacity to meet growing demand in this densely populated area, so it can properly serve the families and residents on both sides. While I'm encouraged that we now have a plan in place to prevent the situation from happening again, we must also acknowledge that in this instance, we could have done better to serve the community. The absence of play equipment for an extended period has affected many who rely on this space for connection, recreation and well-being. We understand how important these facilities are to everyday life, for families, for children and for community connection, and we are committed to doing better moving forward. But this is also an opportunity to listen, to collaborate and to create something truly special. Together with the community, we can design a park that not only meets local needs, but reflects the spirit and character of Penshurst itself. I have full confidence in our staff to move quickly and with care, ensuring that residents and families are treated with respect they deserve. Let's work together to get this right and bring back a park the whole community can be proud of.
Thank you, Councillor Jamieson. Councillor Mort, as the second, you wish to speak to this
Yeah,
motion?
just very quickly, thanks. Yeah, I'd like to also thank all the families that came in tonight. I know it's well past the kids' bedtime, but you deserve to have a great park. I'll just quickly read this, and it's Pole Depot Park is a much-loved park, and the importance of green space in an important green space in such a built-up area. Spaces like this are essential. They give families, kids and locals somewhere to relax, play and connect. As council develops its new play strategy, it's the perfect time to hear from the community about what they want to see in this park, what works well now and what could be improved. This motion also asks that we look at a future budget bid to renew the playground equipment with a focus on safety, play value, and making the most of what's already there. The Pole Depot Park has always been a special part of Penshurst, and this is about making sure it stays that way for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Are there any councillors wishing to speak against this motion? No. Want to speak for? I'll allow one to speak for. Councillor Moore, just turn your line off there. Councillor Liu.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I wanted to congratulate Councillor Jamieson and Councillor Mott to put forward the motion and second the motion as well. Even this site isn't in my ward, that's in Model, what used to be called Penshurst ward, but I really feel connected because when I try to remember, that's back to the 2018, it really through the community advocacy and my motion back to nearly how many years ago I did the calculation, and I asked the council to build toilets on site. So really pleased to see that the council under the big umbrella at the moment to look at all these playground strategy, and very pleased to see Councillor Jamieson to put forward this motion to have an overview of the whole demand from the community. Thank you so much, councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. Councillors, if there's no further discussion, I'll put this motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, declare it carried. And we now revert back to the order of business as published, and we go to notice of motion 08725, acknowledgement of Nepalese community achievements and future opportunities. Thank you to the members of the gallery for your attendance. See you later. Have a good night. So, Councillor Liu.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to...
Seconded by Councillor Moore.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Moore, to second my motion. I don't need to read out all the details being printed on the paper, but I wanted to especially acknowledge these are three recent milestones. The first one in Burwood, the second one in our local area, and in Penshurst Park Community Centre that has been a long-standing council supported budgeted project. And the third one is very recently in Herzl Plaza. Both the Madam Mayor and me and the other councillors were there to attend that one. How to call it, the Dasha Mela 2025. Why I wanted to firstly to acknowledge the Sini Spiritual Festival 2025, because I know the main purpose for that one, they try to, to start the fundraising to build their community center. So that's why reminds me back to our local area. We already leading that direction to build a community center for the community in to use that. So that's why I wanted to acknowledge that, and happily to see just now from CCL 120-25 Penshurst Park Community Centre budget update. It's good to see that a budget being updated, and really looking forward to future progress for that project. So thank you so much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. Councillor Moore, as the second, did you wish to speak to the motion?
I'd just like to say that I attended the event at Herzl Plaza. It was an outstanding event. It was well attended, and really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillors, any councillors wishing to speak against this motion? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against, declare the motion carried. Next, we have NM 08825, supporting dementia awareness and community initiatives. Councillor Liu.
Oh, thank you so much.
Seconded by Councillor Dmowski.
Thank you. Like the last motion I've been addressing, so this one I don't need to read out all the details because it's already printed very detailed. But I just try to congratulate our Georges River Council being awarded towards the dementia friendly government organization. That's really a big milestone for Georges River Council. I wanted to congratulate for that. And such a coincidence from the Chinese community, these are a big event to do the fundraising for the Dementia Australia as well. So I put two things together, really try to acknowledge council and one of our local charitable organization is called a CIFA. That means that the Community Support Foundation Australia. They really did a big job through stage drama, through educational seminar, and singing competition put it together. Real creative activities in ICC in Sydney being formed in our local area. I really feel privileged to have them in our local community, like people who already addressed the council during the public forum. Dementia Australia would like to work together for further details like public education seminar in council, and the CIFA wants to do collaborating project in future as well. So that's why I'm here to try to move this motion, and thank you for councillor to second my motion as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Dmowski. Do you wish to speak to this motion as the seconder?
I reserve my right.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak against? I'll just quickly also congratulate the council for the excellent event that took place at Ganners Park. It was very well attended by the community. A number of us went along, and the doggies all particularly enjoyed it. I know my doggie did too. So it was a great event. So well done to the council. I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? Declare the motion carried. Next, we have NM 08925, recognition and council support of the Riverwood Hornets Marching Band. Councillor Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding the motion, the Riverwood Hornets Marching Band is a distinguished ensemble within the Australian Cadet Corps, dedicated to musical excellence and
Sorry, Councillor Hayes, I'll just call for a seconder if we could first. Councillor Anzalotti has seconded that. And Councillor Hayes, just before you speak to the motion, are you moving it as published or with the amendment?
With the amendments.
Okay, so if we could just bring that up on the screen just before you speak to the motion. It's just a slight amendment to Part B.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The band provides young musicians with opportunities to develop their talents, participate in significant events, and represent Australia on the world stage. They are now residing and operating in the Georges River LGA and hold significant cultural and heritage value. In 2024, the Hornets were the only Australian representatives as a marching band at the anniversary of the D-Day landings in Normandy, France, a place where approximately 1,177 young Australians lost their lives during that campaign from April to August 1944. In 2022, the Hornets were invited to and participated in the Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade. The Hornets have been officially invited to participate again in the 2025 85th Anniversary Memorial Parade, direct from our LGA to Hawaii. Anzac Day is boosted by the presence of a military-grade marching band in various locations in the LGA and at RSL ceremonies, led by Commanding Officer Chris Bailey, whom I believe is in the room tonight. The Riverwood Hornets, comprising over 122 members from around the local area, have watertight codes of conduct, are well known, and supported by local RSL and Lions clubs and the federal member for Banks, Z Soon. I want to move a motion that the Council welcomes the Riverwood Hornets Australian Cadet Corps to Narwee and endorses the donations and support made by local communities to strengthen the ongoing operation of this valuable service to the community. The Council engages with Commanding Officer Chris Bailey and reading the amendment to ensure the Riverwood Hornets marching band is added to the Council events mailing list, enabling them to be notified of relevant expressions of interest, EOIs, and to apply to participate in future events, including opportunities to fundraise in support of the Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade in 2025 and ongoing operations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hayes. Councillor Anzalotti, do you wish to speak to this motion as a seconder? Councillor, Councillor, anyone wishing to speak against this item? No. I'll also just add that the acting director has confirmed that she will reach out to the Riverwood Hornets and also inform them of how they can participate in fundraising at council's events as well. So they'll be well communicated to, I'm sure. So I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare that carried. Next, we move to NM 09025, traffic issues, Roberts Avenue, Mortdale. Councillor Anzalotti.
Yep. Do I have the seconder?
Councillor Lansbury, you seconding it? Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's been moved by Councillor Anzalotti and seconded by Councillor Lansbury.
Okay.
Please go ahead. Yes.
Okay, all right. So this is clearly a long-standing issue. I've grown up in the area for 46 years. I'll give my age away. I grew up in one of the streets off Roberts Avenue. My mother still lives there. So one of the main driving factors for me running as a councillor, and my Labor colleagues know, is because I want to try and find a solution for this traffic problem that has been persistent here for 16 years. I, in fact, came and talked at a council meeting back in the Hurstville days, asking council what they were going to do when that development for Woolies was first put forward. And not much was done back then. So what I want to do is just speak to my motion. Okay, my motion, like I said, it's concerning these long-standing traffic congestion and pedestrian safety issues along Roberts Avenue and adjoining the B streets. It's not just the B streets, it's those other streets on the other side, and we'll also include Fair Avenue if we're going to include all of those. So what I would like to do is I'm looking for a workable solution for this 16-year-old problem. It's not a new matter. Residents have been raising these concerns about speeding, congestion and dangerous conditions for more than 16 years. The issue has been reported in local media as far back as 2009, yet here we are in 2025, still talking about the same intersections, the same danger and the same inaction. So Mortdale's history reminds us that this is a stable, well-established suburb. It was developed to serve the community and to build on connection. Lucky I'm a history teacher. So as the Hurstville Historical Society writes back in a publication in 1981, Roberts Avenue formed the lifeline between the commercial core of Mortdale and the growing residential streets going westward. That observation still rings true today. Roberts Avenue continues to serve as a key connector road, yet it's not evolved in line with the growth of the suburb and its function as an arterial route. While volumes and pressure has increased, the infrastructure and safety controls have not. So in 2014, our then federal member, David Coleman, said, and I will quote, "One of the biggest issues that he was hearing is Banks' electoral office on Roberts Avenue. Traffic's banking up on both sides, meaning that local residents can't turn out their streets. It's also dangerous for pedestrians as well." Almost 10 years later, in 2023, our current state member, for almost 14 years, said, "Residents who live in Mortdale, in the area known locally as Mortdale Heights and B streets, can't find safe access to and from their homes, and it's become increasingly difficult due to large numbers of vehicles that use Roberts Avenue." So that's two local members, one federal, one state, describing the exact same problem a decade apart. And yet, In the 14 years that Mr. Kure has been the local member, not one single lasting solution has been delivered. So residents are still facing the same issues every day. Traffic still banks up. It's still dangerous crossing, and those living on the B Street still struggle to exit safely onto Roberts Road. The motion tonight asks for council what should have been done years ago is to prepare a report, a comprehensive report, investigating opportunities to improve traffic and pedestrian safety along Roberts Avenue, including current traffic volume, speeds, score-related congestion, intersection sightlines, the adequacy and effectiveness of existing traffic calming measures, and the feasibility of alternate traffic configurations. Critically, this report must integrate all traffic data that's been previously collected over the last 16 years, not just the new data that council's collected over the past 3 years, including the report that's been quoted in the report TA C024-23 of March 23. It also calls for this matter to be referred to the local traffic forum with updated data, community feedback, and for council to identify short-term and long-term solutions and options with costs. I want solutions. My amendment, well, my motion is calling for a solution. Importantly, this motion is about critically identifying solutions and delivering with them. My motion is not merely acknowledging the problem or having another discussion. For 16 years, residents have had their concerns noted, studied, debated, but what they have not had is real tangible action to make their streets safer. So this motion asks council to move beyond the words, to produce a comprehensive evidence report that leads directly to practical traffic calming measures informed by both recent data and real life lived experience. I want to just address the important procedural matter too that I've encountered. I submitted 2 previous council requests. Can I have an extension of time, please?
Someone has to move that. Councillor Lansbury has moved a request for an extension of time. I need to put that to a vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. All those against?
So thank you. Thank you. I want to address the important procedural point. I have submitted 2 previous council requests on this matter. The first on the 8th of August, which was not responded to until the 26th of August, and the second on the 24th of September. Both ask for a chronological timeline of when these concerns were first raised by the community and what actions council has taken since 2009. To date, that information was not provided. And despite these requests, the original correspondence itself, what I actually asked for, was not published in tonight's public business papers. Instead, only the response was included, and even that failed to address what my central issues were. So this is why I presented my motion tonight, because without a clear historical record and acknowledgement of what has and hasn't been done, we can't move forward effectively. What I'm asking for is that recent data collected over the past 3 years be integrated into the historical complaints, reports and submissions made over the past 16 years to build a complete picture and finally deliver informed, effective traffic calming measures. So we can't continue treating this issue as though it just began 3 or 5 years ago. It's been ongoing since 2009. And the community's experiences and frustrations must inform any decisions moving forward. The director's comments in the papers tonight oppose this motion, stating that recent crash data indicates the area is not unsafe and that council office do not support allocation resources for a report. This actually entirely misses the point. Safety cannot be reduced to crash statistics. Residents' lived experiences, the daily near misses, the blocked sight lines, the frustration, the risk during peak times tell a completely different story. And let me be clear, nowhere in my motion have I asked for a roundabout to be installed. This motion does not call for specific infrastructure. It calls for a proper investigation and analysis to find a solution. Referring repeatedly to past roundabout proposals or rejected funding applications completely misrepresents what I've put forward tonight. Mayor, I find it deeply disappointing, okay, that after 16 years of correspondence, council reports and promises from multiple tiers of government, residents are still told their street does not meet the criteria for attention. My motion tonight sets in concrete that we can actually find a solution. There's no point keep on going around and round in circles, roundabout and boom. The truth is that this issue has been existing, it's been present for 16 years. I've called for this report because it became painfully clear that no decisions will be made to calm traffic on Roberts Avenue without due investigation and evidence-based report integrating all relevant historical data and current data to find and deliver the best solution for Roberts Avenue. I don't think we should be waiting for funding from federal or state to actually solve a problem that's so tangible and real in our LGA. Why do we have to wait for that funding? We shouldn't be sitting down waiting for it. We should be acting on it in the moment. It's an ongoing issue. It's 16 years that these residents have been put up with this. The news says my own father, about 20 years ago, had to be cut out of his vehicle on the corner of Bar. Okay, it is an unsafe road. I know you're not counting on the crash data for that, but please consult community, go into the community, find an actual solution for this problem, which has been ongoing, persistent for 16 years. It's almost 2 decades. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anzalotti. Councillor Jamieson. Sorry, Councillor Anzalotti, could you just turn your microphone off? Thanks.
Could I please put forward an amendment?
Yes.
Do you want me to read that out?
Yes, if you can, please.
Okay. So the amendments are that Council A notes the long-standing concerns raised by residents regarding traffic congestion and pedestrian safety along Roberts Avenue, Mortdale and the adjoining B Streets, Beatty Street, Belmont Street, Bar Street, Zela Street and Kendall Street. B acknowledges that Council has already undertaken multiple investigations into traffic and safety issues in the area, including a report to the Traffic Advisory Committee, TAC 024-23, dated 7th of March 2023, which resulted in the installation of regulatory 10-metre no stopping restrictions at key intersections along Roberts Avenue to improve sightliness, pedestrians' access, safety and vehicle movements. Notes that Council has twice applied for funding under the Australian Government's Black Spot program in 2022 and 2023 for safety improvements, including a roundabout at Roberts Avenue and Beatty Street and a raised pedestrian crossing at Kendall Street. Both applications were unsuccessful due to low crash history and low benefit to cost ratio determined by Transport for New South Wales. Recognises that while crash data indicates no significant safety risk, residents continue to experience congestion and inconvenience, particularly during school pickup, drop-off and peak commuter periods, a situation that is not unique to Roberts Avenue, but common to most school precincts across the city. Notes that Council officers will continue investigations into appropriate traffic management measures for Roberts Avenue and the adjoining B Streets as part of the broader traffic management program scheduled for the 2025-26 financial year. Request that findings of these investigations be recorded to the local traffic forum and the residents of Roberts Avenue and surrounding streets be notified and provided with an opportunity for feedback. Notes that any future traffic management measures will be prioritised and implemented subject to available funding, updated crash data and alignment with Transport for New South Wales and Australian Government funding criteria.
Thank you, Councillor Jamieson. Before I call for a second, I'll just ask Councillor Anzalotti if she accepts this amendment.
The only part of the amendment that I actually would accept, which would need to be amended again, would be the top point where you've listed all the streets, but you've failed to leave out Phil Avenue. But no, I don't accept it. Do I talk against it now, or do I just wait? No.
So if you don't accept it, I'll call for a seconder. Councillor Allison, are you seconding that amendment from Councillor Jamieson?
Yes.
Okay, so the amendment is seconded by Councillor Allison. Councillor Jamieson, do you wish to speak to the amendment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The amended motion before us recognises the genuine concerns that residents along Roberts Avenue and the adjoining B Streets have raised over a long period of time. Traffic congestion and safety around our local schools are issues that come up frequently across the city, and this area is no exception. And would it be fair to say that in the Cobram ward, it is really bad, having been there during school drop-off time, in the Mayor's area is really, it's much worse than here. However, it's important that decisions are guided by the evidence and the work that council has already completed. I met with residents back in 2023 and 2024, including with Mr. Farrington, who spoke tonight on this very issue, and am pleased that over recent years, council has undertaken multiple investigations into Roberts Avenue and surrounding streets, including through the Traffic Advisory Committee report TAC 24-23. As a result of that work, regulatory 10-metre no stopping restrictions have already been installed at key intersections to improve visibility and pedestrian safety. Council has also made 2 separate applications for black spot funding to deliver further safety upgrades, such as a roundabout and a raised pedestrian crossing, but those applications were unsuccessful due to the very low crash history in the area. In fact, the latest data shows that the location does not meet the criteria for additional funds. As the school P&C president of Peakhurst, I believe the most pressing safety issue facing the school currently is the lack of air conditioning at the school, which is raised with me constantly. While congestion during school pick-up and drop-off stops can be frustrating, it's not unique to Roberts Avenue. It's a challenge faced by most school precincts across the city. That's why the amended motion takes a sensible approach and ensures Roberts Avenue is included in Council's broader traffic investigation scheduled for the 2025-26 financial year, rather than diverting additional funds to duplicate work that's already been done. This approach balances community expectations with responsible resource management and ensures any future actions are informed by updated data, resident feedback, and available funding opportunities. I commend the amended motion to Council.
Thank you, Councillor Jamieson. Councillor Allison, as the seconder to the amendment, do you wish to speak for the amendment?
No, all right.
Ms. Ryan, does anyone wish to speak against the amendment? Councillor Anzalotti,
Yeah,
against the amendment?
I will. Look, again, it's a 16-year-old problem. Residents need to find a solution. It's not about Cogra. I don't even know why Cogra was raised. This is actually about the residents of Mortdale Heights and the issues that they've been experiencing for 16 years. I'm talking about almost 2 decades. It's not an issue that can just be brushed under the carpet, round around in circles, fill an amendment with waffle. Yes, council's done work. Why can we not just already use reports that council's done to inform a decision, an actual viable solution for the people of Mortdale Heights? The road is unique. It's an arterial road. It connects 4 suburbs. So people from Mortdale use Roberts Avenue to go up into Mortdale Heights, Peakhurst Heights, Lugano, Riverwood, onto Henry Lawson Drive. It is a very unique road for those people of Mortdale Heights. I think they'd be mortified if they heard that a councillor was actually thinking that this road is not unique, because it actually is incredibly unique to the area because it does service all of those suburbs. Again, like I said, it's not about duplicating. This is about using what we already have, making informed decisions, letting our community know that we're working to find a viable solution that is going to solve this 16-year-old problem. It's not about the 3 years, not about the 5 years, those reports. It's going back, historically looking at it, compiling all that data and coming up with something that is going to relieve that congestion. We should not have to wait for any type of funding for our residents who have been calling for something to happen for 16 years. I don't think our residents would be happy with that. And they're not, because you door knocked a couple of years ago. I did that just last weekend. Okay, so these residents want action. They want something done about it. And I don't think we can sit around anymore prolonging, waiting, praying for Santa to come with a bag with cash in it to say we've now got money to service the community and get the funding done for a traffic problem which has been ongoing for 16 years.
Thank you, Councillor Anzalotti. Do any other councillors wish to speak against the amendment? Councillor Anzalotti, if you could just turn your microphone.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I will speak against the amendment. I do understand where you're coming from, Councillor Jamieson, with what you've proposed. However, I think there probably nobody else in this chamber that has such extensive knowledge of this particular location as Councillor Anzalotti. And it's very difficult to argue with the fact of when somebody has grown up in an area or has spent a lot of time there, or you live there now, you know what time of day is the day that, or the time of the day you can't pull out into traffic. And no one knows their area more intimately than somebody who actually has spent a lot of time there or lives there currently. We had a couple of speakers from Cobra Bay, but that's a separate issue. I think it's really important to acknowledge that we have done a lot of investigations, but that's great. Report after report after report. Transport for New South Wales has rejected a couple of requests for roundabouts and other traffic measures previously, but I would always say you have another crack. There's many locations in the LGA that I can identify. The latest one that comes to mind is the intersection of King George's Road and Cherry Street at Blakehurst that we have been advocating for many years for right turn arrows, and Transport for New South Wales would always say no because it slows down the traffic. And I would always argue that, well, so does an accident at a location like that. Just because they've rejected it a number of times, we need to pursue a solution for these people who live with this every day. And thankfully, it's not more injuries or serious accidents that occur there, but the stress levels of people who are trying to get out of their streets and onto Roberts Road to get to work or drop their kids off or do whatever they need to do would be going through the roof, because this problem is not getting any better, it's only getting worse. Traffic congestion is only getting more intense because of increased density in our neighbourhoods, and it needs to be addressed now. I'm not a traffic engineer. I have no idea what the solution would be. The simple solution to someone like me would be a roundabout, because there's one further down the road at the entrance to Woolworths, but for some reason, perhaps it can't be constructed there. Maybe the telegraph poles are too close to the corner. I have no idea what the problem is, but I don't think we should give up. I think we need to push for an outcome, and whether it's our own traffic engineers that can determine what solutions may be possible to address this, or whether it needs to go to Transport for New South Wales for options that they can suggest. I don't think that the raised thresholds would work at those locations. It's a number of streets that you would think that a roundabout type measure would allow traffic to enter Roberts Avenue rather than just sort of sitting there waiting for a break in the traffic. It's a wicked problem, and we can't just keep pushing it down the road, as Councillor Anzalotti has so eloquently put tonight. This has been going on for 16 or 20 years, when her own father was seriously injured in an accident there. As I said, fortunately, that does not happen that often, but it will unless it's addressed. So I would prefer to stick with the original motion, because I do think that there are actions in that, basically short, medium and longer term actions proposed that we need to be identified as to what can actually be done. And I'll sort of round off by saying you can never discount the lived experience of somebody who knows the location extremely well. And I would argue that Councillor Anzalotti probably would know it the best in this chamber. So I would support her position on this, because I think that it seems to be a very reasonable approach.
Do you have a right reply? We've had Councillor James, you've spoken for the right of reply sits with Councillor Anzalotti, who moved the original motion. I just want to add a comment that there's sort of an inference that this motion is a do nothing amendment, but part E of the motion reads, notes that council officers will continue investigations into appropriate traffic management measures for Roberts Avenue and the adjoining B streets as part of the broader traffic management program scheduled for the 25-26 financial year, and that those findings will be reported to the local traffic forum, and that residents of Roberts Avenue and surrounding streets be notified and provided with an opportunity for feedback. So this is not saying that council is doing nothing. This is saying that council will continue the investigation in that area. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Madam Mayor, as a point of order, you said that council will continue to investigate these issues. My understanding is council has investigated these issues for 16 years.
So what's your point of order, Councillor Gow?
I just wanted to say that the investigation
is it a point of order? Sorry.
Is a point of order.
What is the point of order?
To clarify that I believe that council has investigated.
So that's a comment on the motion, so not a point of order, I think. So Councillor Lansbury.
Can I just ask for clarification, please? I know that it's very easy to call for a point of order, but a point of order isn't just when you don't like what's being said. It's actually something that's in contravention to the Code of Meeting Practice. So is there a particular clause in the Code of Meeting Practice that you're referring to, Councillor Gow?
I just felt very compelled, Councillor Lansbury, to stand up and set the record very straight.
Thank you, Councillor Gow. So the meeting process is that you, I will invite you to speak if we have a speaker for or against. Councillor Jamieson just requested us to take a right of reply, which I've denied because we've already had 2 speakers against and she's taken an opportunity to speak for. So if you could please next time just inform me whether you're wishing to speak for or against a motion, or if you do have a point of order, as Councillor Lansbury has outlined, if you could articulate which section of the Code of Meeting Practice you believe that you're raising the point of order on, and then I can make a decision as to whether or not it is a point of order or not. So that would be the correct procedure if we could just try to stick to that going forward. Okay, so we have the amendment as moved by Councillor Jamieson and seconded by Councillor Allison, and I will put the amendment to a vote. If we could please go around the room on the amendment.
Your vote, please, Madam Mayor.
I'm for the amendment.
Councillor Allison.
For.
Councillor Anzalotti.
Against.
Councillor Arthur.
Against.
Councillor Demoski.
For.
Councillor Gow.
Against.
Councillor Hayes.
Against.
Councillor Jamieson.
For.
Councillor Lansbury.
Against.
Councillor Liu.
For.
Councillor Mort.
For.
Councillor Pun.
Against.
Councillor Stratokopoulos.
For.
Councillor Wang.
Against.
7 votes for and 7 votes against.
So as
You
the,
can
as
have
the
a
chair,
casting vote.
I have the casting vote, and I will exercise that casting vote to vote for the amendment. So I'll declare the amendment carried, and the amendment becomes the motion. And we'll now put the motion to a vote, and if we could please go around and take the votes again on the motion.
Madam Mayor.
For.
Councillor Allison.
For.
Councillor Anzalotti.
For.
Councillor Arthur.
For.
Councillor Demoski.
For.
Councillor Gow.
For.
Councillor Hayes.
For.
Councillor Jamieson.
For.
Councillor Lansbury.
For.
Councillor Liu.
For.
Councillor Mort.
For.
Councillor Pun.
For.
Councillor Stratokopoulos. Councillor Wang.
For.
It's 14 votes for, unanimous.
I declare the motion carried. We move to NM 091-25, Pecos West Swimming Pool, reopening, moved by Councillor Mort and seconded, moved by Councillor Liu, seconded by Councillor Mort. Councillor Liu. Councillor. Yep. So moved by Councillor Mort, Liu, seconded by Councillor Mort.
Oh, thank you. I'm just trying to quickly read out in my motion. There are 3 different points. I think as the local councillors and the local community, we heard a good news that after the formally closed the last year, I remember the 6th of December, and in between the reopened a couple of months, and now it will be reopened, scheduled on reopened on the 1st of November. Such a good news for the community. So welcome to this announcement. Secondly, acknowledge the strong advocacy of the local community. We can see from the first day before last year, before the Christmas closed, I think it's really from the strong community advocacy for that to tell the government that we don't want to be closed. So anyone who can see the details of who is backing that advocacy. So that's why I want to acknowledge that community commitment for that. And the third one, right to the New South Wales Minister, why for education, why we do that, because as far as the community knows, there is a EOI for a point operator, the new operator for that. That's why the community wants to see, based on the history of these community-led project back to that's 1956. I wanted to council meeting to table this document. It really talk about the history of a community project that's from 1956 to 1991 to tell the story how that operate from the beginning. So that's why we wanted to tell the current government that's the community, that's what the community want. No matter who will be the new operator, we want the community wants to put the community, especially the current pool users and swimming clubs and swimming schools will be being put to the top of priority. Thank you. Can I have this one being tabled to council? Thank you. So additional for that, I've been given this one by one of I think the biggest pool user at the moment. This booklet been produced decades ago without any copyright. So that Mr. Cho, COH, did a really copy for the booklet for everyone, every councillor to have it, and the council tabled that one as well. Thank you, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. Councillor Anzalotti?
Yeah, I have an amendment, please, for that motion.
Okay.
Sorry.
Bring that up on the screen.
Pardon?
I said if we could just bring that up on the screen, if you want to read that out.
Yeah, sure. So just the sentiment of your motion, Councillor, stays the same. And thank you for taking such a strong interest in Peakus West Swimming Pool, which is in the Peakus ward. Just to put a bit of context, I have worked behind scenes for months with the relevant government departments, liaising with them to ensure that the pool will reopen and that it will become a lasting, viable community facility for many years to come. So my amendment actually just reflects and acknowledges the government departments who were able, in a very short period of time, to inject money into that facility. It was a turnaround of about 5 months, and I think they need to be acknowledged for the hard work that they have done. So my amendment reads, A, welcomes the announcement that the Peakus West Swimming Pool located within Peakus West Public School is scheduled to reopen on the 1st November 2025, following $1.5 million upgrade works funded and managed by the New South Wales Department of Education under the Minns New South Wales Government in partnership with New South Wales Department of Education, in partnership with Schools Infrastructure New South Wales to improve safety and amenities. This work includes a new roof for the pool building, improved ventilation, a full deep clean of the pool structure, a new accessible bathroom and a new pool pump. Acknowledges the strong advocacy of the local community for the retention of the New South Wales Government facility and recognises the long-standing social, recreational and educational value the pool has provided to residents, students and local swim clubs over many decades. C, rights to the New South Wales Minister for Education. It probably should be the acting New South Wales Minister for Education, which is Courtney Hewsos. Schools Infrastructure New South Wales and the Department of Education, advocating for transparent community consultation regarding any proposed changes to access agreements or arrangements for existing and long-standing swim school and local clubs, and requesting that affordability and equitable community access still remains key considerations in future operational decisions. I just thought if we're going to sort of put the message out there to community that the pool's reopening, we need to give where credit's due. Talking to local community groups over the course of the 5 months, they've all said to me that no money was injected into that facility for 28 years. I attended a meeting on site with Deputy Premier and Education Minister Preet Kaur with Zee Soon back in April, where she on the spot pledged that $1.5 million. I think it's nothing short of a miracle that that $1.5 million was able
to be injected into that facility very quickly, and it got bang for its buck. It was just supposed to be a roof change. The roof was absolutely filled with asbestos, but the department's delivered on much more than that, and the community members are just over the moon about that. So I wanted that built into the amendment just so it was there and open for everybody to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anzalotti. Councillor Liu, do you accept the amendment as proposed by Councillor Anzalotti?
Yes, I would. Apart from that, can I try to emphasize matter of fact? I think that's back to the 6th of December last year when it closed. The community really gave a very short notice, maybe only a couple days before it really closed. But I think it's not fair for council being blamed that the council, it was the council's decision to close it. I think we have I emailed to the Madam Mayor to clarify what's happening behind the scene. Yeah, of course, it's good to see now the government, the state government back to the right track and try to solve the problem, try to find the proper operator by EOI. So if the community really would like to leave this project to the good hand, we are really looking forward for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. So Councillor Liu's accepted the amendment as proposed by Councillor Anzalotti. Councillor Moore as the seconder, do you accept that amendment as well?
Yes, I accept that amendment.
Fantastic. So that amendment will become the motion. Is there anybody wishing to speak against the motion?
I can.
You wish to speak for as
For
a
the
seconder?
motion.
You wish
For
to
the
speak. Okay, Councillor Mort, I'll allow you to speak for the motion.
Okay. The loss of any local swimming pool is is tragedy. So I welcome the reopening of Peakhurst West Swimming Pool, following an important upgrade that will make the facility safer and more enjoyable for everyone. For decades, this pool has been a much loved part of our community, a place where children learn to swim, families gather, and friendships grow. Its return is a wonderful result for Peakhurst and for the wider Georges River community. I want to acknowledge the state government for funding this project, and also the strong advocacy of local residents, swim clubs, community groups whose commitment ensure this valuable state government asset continues to serve for future generations. This reopening shows what can be achieved when community and government work together. And I look forward to seeing children, teenagers and adults learn to swim and gain confidence in water, which is a life-saving skill. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mort. Councillors, if there's no further discussion, I will now put this motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
All those against? I declare it carried. We've already dealt with NM 09225, which is Whole Depot Park. So we move to NM 09325, Penshurst Town Centre Public Domain Plan. Councillor Jamieson and seconded by Councillor Mort. Thank you, Councillor Jamieson.
Yeah, I just simply wanted to say thank you to the staff for the information provided, the updates on the norms previously made. I appreciate that there is a bit of delay, but I have to acknowledge that I've heard of some of the other ideas that are coming forward, and it's more than I could have dreamed of. I'm grateful that the council will speed up the process and allow new staff to expedite the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jamieson. Councillor Mort.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Jamieson, for bringing this motion to council. I'm pleased to support this motion, making progress for Penshurst Town Centre Public Domain Plan. This plan will make our town centre safer, greener, and more welcoming for everyone. It includes the potential to transfer. It includes the potential transfer of land from TAI for a new park at Bridge and Penshurst Street, along with a detailed design and fit out next year, with works funded in the 2026-27 budget. This is exactly the kind of project that improves community spaces, encourages local activities and strengthens the character of Penshurst. And I'm proud to see council is moving forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mort. Any councillors wish to speak against the motion?
Madam Mayor, not speaking against, I have an amendment
You have an amendment?
to propose to Councillor Jamieson. But I just wanted to add that council undertake all actions necessary to avoid further unnecessary delays, present the Penshurst public domain plan to council on schedule before the end of the year. I note in the director's report that it should be completed by December. I just want to make sure that all mitigating factors can be considered in your motion, Councillor Jamieson.
Councillor Jamieson, do you accept that amendment? So just so I understand, it's the same motion, but addition of item F, is that right?
Yeah. Chair, to undertake all actions necessary to further unnecessary delays.
Councillor Jamieson, you don't accept the amendment? No. Okay. So we have an amendment from Councillor Gall. And I will need to call for a seconder to that amendment. Okay, seems we don't have a seconder, so that amendment will lapse and we will revert back to the motion as put by Councillor Jamieson and Councillor Mort. If there's no further discussion, I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. All those against? I declare the motion carried. Next, we move to NM 09425, traffic issues, intersection of Wren Street and Park Road at Cogra Bay. Councillor Gall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that council investigate the traffic issues at the intersection of Wren Street and Park Road, Cogra Bay, where cars turning right onto Wren Street are blocking traffic when a vehicle is parked opposite the intersection, to action possible solutions, including installing no parking or no stopping signs opposite Wren Street, changes to markings or intersection layout, and any other options that would help ease such congestion. Review what was done down the road at YE Street and Park Road, where similar changes improved traffic flow, to see if a similar approach can be used here, and commit to undertaking this within a reasonable time frame of 6 months. I'm going to call for a seconder, Madam Mayor.
I will call for a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Gall. And
yes,
councillors are obliged to second it. They can just pop their light on. I don't need to call for it. So, Councillor Hayes, you're going to second that. Thank you very much. Councillor Gall, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Madam Mayor, we've heard from the residents in the gallery tonight. This is a simple, straightforward fix that the community has asked for. It is a long-standing issue. Councillor Jamieson even acknowledged that in your ward, Madam Mayor, it is far worse, apparently, according to Councillor Jamieson, than Roberts Road.
I think
I was of the understanding you said something like this is Cogra.
She was referring to school zones, I think.
It is a thoroughfare for a local school as well. Yes.
Very familiar with the thoroughfare.
So
having
we all know that one parked car, Madam Mayor, I'm speaking, one parked car on Park Road combined with one car trying to turn right onto Wren Street causes significant traffic to block up. This happens too many times. Just ask anybody who uses Park Road. We cannot ever discount the lived experiences of residents in Cogra and Cogra Bay and Ramsgate. It's been done before to ease congestions and block-ups just down the road at Park Road and on Terry Street and Heath Road from what we heard tonight. It's a common sense motion. If the council needs to start acting within a reasonable time frame of 6 months.
Thank you, Councillor Gall. Councillor Hayes, do you wish to speak for the motion?
No, that's carried. Thanks.
Any councillors wishing to speak against the motion? Councillor Deputy Mayor Strathcopoulos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council has already resolved through the 2025-26 budget CCLO 53-25 to undertake a comprehensive traffic study along the Park Road corridor, that being from North Elizabeth Street to south of Princess Highway. That includes, of course, the section of Wren Street mentioned in this particular motion. In fact, this exact issue has already been raised through a councillor request by our esteemed colleague, Councillor Gow, and responded to. So its reappearance on tonight's business paper feels a little less about solving problems, a little more about political grandstanding. This traffic issue, essentially a request to investigate installation of no parking, should be considered as part of the holistic traffic study for the whole precinct, whose focus is on improving road safety and traffic flow in the area, not piecemeal by individual, not piecemeal by individual notices motion. I can't support this motion. I'm still holding out hope that one day Councillor Gow might realise that the proper way to raise traffic concerns is via a councillor request, not through motions drafted from the driver's seat. Continually bringing these matters to council with guess that fixes doesn't just waste time, it creates false expectations for the community and undermines the expert evidence-based process already in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Strathcopoulos. Does any other councillors wish to speak against?
Madam Mayor, as a right of reply.
Sorry, if you could please sit down and wait until I come to you. Are there any other councillors who wish to speak against this motion? If not, Councillor Gow, I will offer you your right of reply.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do appreciate you offering that. Councillor Strathcopoulos, the Honourable, highly esteemed Deputy Mayor of Georges River Council. I've lost count how many times I've been told to do a council request, but I've never seen one that has led to real change or real outcomes for residents who elected us here. Now, secondly, on another note, a bit more personal here, I do apologise beforehand, and before Madam Mayor makes me withdraw this statement, I just wanted to say that it is completely factual and for the public domain. I won't be taking advice on process or council requests from a councillor who has made more expensive requests, expenses claims since he was elected to Georges River Council since 2021. The proof is in the pudding for the budget year 2023 to 2024.
Councillor Gow, if you could please keep your comments to the merit of the motion, which is in relation to the request for traffic investigation at Main Street. If you could please keep your comments to
Sure,
the
thank
motion.
you. Well,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've made it very clear where I stand on issues. I take direction from the community. I take direction from residents, not from any councillors here, not from the council bureaucracy. And I want to make it very clear that the community expects us to fix these common sense issues, not to lecture each other on how to deal with bureaucracy or put more red tape on issues that are simple fixes like changing a parking sign on Park Road.
Thank you, Councillor Gow. That was the right of reply. I think a simple request like a review of removing of no parking zone where there's been residents speaking for and against the motion, which the director's comments outlines, and when council's already undertaking a complete traffic study of the area to improve the traffic flow, it makes sense that that is considered as part of that whole study and not. This motion is superfluous. It serves no purpose. So on that basis, I'm going to put the motion, as we've had the right of reply, put the motion to a vote, and if we could please go around the room to take the vote.
Madam Mayor?
I'm against.
Councillor Allison?
Against.
Councillor Anzalotti?
For.
Councillor Arthur?
For.
Councillor Demoski?
Against.
Councillor Gow?
For.
Councillor Hayes?
For.
Councillor Jamieson? Councillor Lansbury? Councillor Luke? Councillor Mort?
Against.
Councillor Pung?
For.
Councillor Strathcopoulos?
Against.
Councillor Wang?
For.
6 votes for, 8 votes against.
I declare the motion lost. We move to NM 09525, traffic issues, Princess Highway and Hamer Street, Kogarah Bay. Councillor Gow.
I move that council investigate and improve the visibility and clarity of traffic signage relating to the no left turn onto Princess Highway from Hamer Street, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Restriction. Action the following specific signage improvements as raised by residents. Enlargement of the existing sign at the corner of Hamer Street and Wren Street. Installation of a larger, clearly more visible sign for drivers turning left into Hamer Street. Replacement of a new sign to the pole when turning left into Hamer Street from Wren Street. Commit to undertaking this within a reasonable time frame of 6 months.
Thank you, Councillor Gow. If I could call for a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Anzalotti. Councillor Gow, do you wish to speak to the motion?
It's very simple.
Okay. Councillor Anzalotti, do you wish to speak to the motion? Any councillors wishing to speak against the motion? Deputy Mayor Stratakopoulos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't spend too much time on this one. Once again, we have another motion from Desperate Councillor Gow that has already been responded to and action. Yet here it is on the business paper taken up to change time. Given the director's comments given the director's comments make it clear that this matter is already being addressed, I strongly, and I repeat, I strongly urge Councillor Gow to consider withdrawing this motion.
Madam Mayor, can I speak?
Yes.
It's very direct towards me. No, I do not withdraw this motion.
Okay, that's fine. Anyone else wishing to speak against the motion? If not, we'll put the motion to a vote. If we could please go around the room.
Madam Mayor,
I'm against.
Councillor Allison,
Yes.
Councillor Anzalotti,
For.
Councillor Arthur,
For.
Councillor Demoski,
Against.
Councillor Gow,
For.
Councillor Hayes,
For.
Councillor Jamieson,
Against.
Councillor Lansbury,
Against.
Councillor Liu,
Against.
Councillor Mort,
Against.
Councillor Pun,
For.
Councillor Stratakopoulos,
Against.
Councillor Wang.
For.
6 votes for, 8 votes against.
I declare the motion lost. Next, we move to NM 09625, traffic calming measures, Waratah Street, Blakehurst. Councillor Gow.
I move that council reconsider its position regarding the installation of traffic calming measures on Waratah Street, Blakehurst, in light of ongoing community concerns about speeding and safety. Undertake community engagement with residents of Waratah Street to better understand the scale and frequency of issues being reported, assess suitable options such as speed hump signage or other traffic calming devices as appropriate, and commit to undertaking this within a reasonable time frame of 6 months.
I'll call for a seconder.
I second the motion, thanks.
Seconded by Councillor Hayes. Councillor Gow, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. For too long, residents along Waratah Street and Linwood Street have raised these serious concerns about excessive speeding, hooning, and several near misses. Door knocking and speaking to residents on Waratah and Linwood this weekend, many have informed me that they raised these issues with council to no avail whatsoever. People can't even get out their driveway safely, fearing that a speeding car might come crashing straight onto them. Having no footpaths means families with prams and people with mobility issues are using the road for pedestrian access. This is clearly not a safe situation to place residents in. The motion is about common sense and actually doing something. Not saying you're going to do something, not saying you're going to investigate something for a very long time, but actually doing it and taking action to address these safety concerns, these valid safety concerns. Residents have waited long enough, and it is time for council to take their safety seriously. And to quote Councillor Lansbury, we never can discount the lived experiences of local residents.
Thank you, Councillor Gow. Councillor Hayes wishes to speak as the seconder.
I support that motion. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any councillors wishing to speak against the motion? Councillor Dmowski.
Madam Mayor, councillors, look, there's no other way than being against this motion, simply because there's currently work being carried for this particular area and streets. I was surprised when I saw your notice of motion, Councillor Gow. I must congratulate you on your work door knocking in Blakehurst again. It takes a lot of time to door knock Cockburra, Blakehurst, Peakhurst, and the whole Georges River area. But anyway, look, there's for about 6 weeks now, I'm doing a work on this particular issue. And I'm not sure whether are the same residents on Linwood and Waratah, but I had 2 meetings with number of residents there, and I've been door knocking as well, but just those streets, not the whole Georges River Council, because simply I have no time. Now, thank you for taking care of Blakehurst Ward again, right? But you usually do work after the work has been completed or someone else is doing it. Same as the cars park swimming pool. Anyway, just to cut it short, look, I'm just glad it's not a roundabout again, which we're moving forward. But on that note, last Monday, we have committee meeting, which like I think Councillor Gow missed it. And last Monday was a pure example as to why traffic issues are not solved. Briefing. I apologize. I withdrew my statement. Briefing. So that was a pure example of why traffic issues are not solved by notice of motions on a whim, but rather through the traffic committee and proper consultation together with residents, council directors, engineers, through the traffic advisory committee, which I have done this time, and it seems to be working for me, to be honest. Look, back to this issue, I have been working with the residents, and I've been on site many times, taking data for myself, spending more than 2 hours sitting and observing the traffic. I took a lot of videos, which I've sent to Director Stroud. I sent as a council request. I've lodged in a council request. I've attached all of these documentations. I took pictures as well, and so on and so forth. I had a number of meetings with the residents, and last Thursday, October 23rd, at 10:30 o'clock, we had a meeting with the residents at Linwood and Waratah Street, together with Director Stroud and some of the traffic engineers and so on. We all came together. We observed the issues. Director Stroud, which I'm grateful that he came on site. He was able to hear from the residents firsthand what is the issue, what is the current issue, and what residents are expecting from the council. And I can say it might not be the speed, it might not be anything else, but we left it with the traffic engineers and that department to find out solution, which they're already working, and they came up with some proposal. As a councillor, I am extremely satisfied with the work that the Director Stroud and his team are doing in this particular issue. And simply, that's why I'm against this notice of motion, based on just, I don't know, I'm not going to go into it. But this is, thank you.
Councillor Dmowski.
Just as far as
Councillor Dmowski, I'll just ask if there's any other councillors wishing to speak against the motion before you take your right of reply. Councillor Lansbury.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I will be speaking against this motion. While I thank Councillor Gow for taking another interest in Blakehurst Ward, I would like to remind him of something I've said to him on several occasions now. It's always valuable to talk to the ward councillors before you put up a motion in somebody else's ward, because there's always more to it, particularly stuff that predates your time on council. Now, I was aware that Councillor Demoski had been working on this particular issue, and when I saw this motion on the business paper, I'm like, Waratah Street. Nobody's ever said anything about Waratah Street traffic before. It's always been Linwood Street, which maybe you've got the streets wrong. Linwood Street is the one where the bend is that comes into Waratah Street. And going back to the good old days of Cogra, there was a number of occasions we've visited there with residents, with council officers, and they've introduced different measures. It's one of those awkward corners, because it is quite a steep corner going down into Waratah Street. So I think you actually mean Linwood Street, not Waratah Street. We saw some footage tonight of cars hooning. Well, I reckon that could be anywhere in Sydney, to be honest with you, because that sort of thing happens everywhere. That's out of council's area of responsibility. That's actually a police matter, and those sorts of things need to be reported to the police. But again, I would remind you to maybe stick to Cogra Bay, and the Blakehurst Ward councillors are very capable of dealing with issues in Blakehurst Ward. I went through my emails to have a look. A number of occasions I've engaged with council officers, and they have introduced a number of measures over the years. Unfortunately, the traffic only gets worse. The cars only get bigger. A lot of the cars are the big monster truck utes that are all over Sydney. I'm not just sort of saying it specifically in Blakehurst Ward. And I believe that one of the issues that's happening in that location is the corners being cut. And that also can happen anywhere in Sydney, anywhere in Georges River. There are traffic measures that I had a chat with Mr. Stroud earlier tonight about what options they're considering for this location. And it's good. Like, they have actually a few things that they're trying out. But again, I'll just remind you, stick to Cogra Bay Ward, let Blakehurst Ward councillors manage what they've been doing. As you've heard, as Councillor Demoski spoke so eloquently before, he's been very active in this space. I've been very active in this space over the years as well. And I would remind you, have a chat to us, or maybe just don't put up motions in other people's wards, even if they are sent to you from the electorate office of Cogra, and not directly to me. It would make more sense to speak to me as your Labor colleague and as one of the councillors for Blakehurst Ward that. Sorry?
I don't know why mentioning the Cogra electorate office is a healthy to Mr. Banks.
Well, I guess neither is mentioning Councillor Stratokopoulos' expense claims, but that's, I'm going to not even go there because that's entirely out of order to have raised that. Yeah.
But let's, if we could please stick to the motion at hand, which is the request for the traffic investigation at Waratah Street, Blakehurst.
Ordinarily, I would be supporting something in my ward, but this is the wrong approach, because Waratah Street is not the problem, it's Linwood Street. As Councillor Demoski has explained to us tonight, he's been working on it with council officers, which is the correct way to do it. It isn't the appropriate process to send every traffic matter to council. And I think you said earlier, Councillor Gow, that you've never seen an outcome. Well, okay. You have only been here for 12 months. I have seen many outcomes through council requests over the years, and particularly not through the councillor, not through the notice of motion process, just liaising with council officers, because often it's already on their radar. And this particular thing goes back to 2018, they did a traffic study and came up with some options. 2019, they enacted them. Back in 23, I raised it again, and there were some more actions that were taken back then. This is not something that councils looked the other way and ignored. This is something that those of us with the experience in that location are aware of. So I'll leave it there, but I won't be supporting this motion because I think you've actually got your streets wrong.
Thank you, Councillor Lansbury. Councillor Gow, your right of reply.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, just to be absolutely clear, residents don't care whose ward they live in. They just want to live in a street that is safe. And just to be on the record, Councillor Demoski, I have written to council. I have submitted council requests on this issue. And the response that I received as of 2 weeks ago was council had already undertaken an investigation and that no further action will occur at this stage, and is the recommendation of council. And therefore, my notice of motion, point A, reads, reconsider its position regarding the installation of traffic calming measures on Waratah Street, Blakehurst. So, look, it's about doing the right thing. Residents come forward to me. These residents came forward directly to me. I met with them over the weekend. Some of them have known who you are, have contacted you. They haven't gotten the outcome that they desired or deserve. These are long-standing issues. I am taking them on board for these residents.
Okay, that's the right reply, Councillor Gow. If I can make a suggestion to you, if you receive a response to the council request that you're not satisfied with, I would encourage you to engage with the council officer who sent that to you. And as Councillor Demoski has done in this instance, he's requested an on-site meeting. That might be a more productive way to get an outcome than a notice of motion that's prescriptive around traffic outcomes, as we did here at the briefing last Monday. That doesn't always end well. Okay, that's the right of reply. So I'll put this motion to a vote. If we could please go around the room to take the votes on the motion.
Madam Mayor,
I'm against.
Councillor Allison,
Yes.
Councillor Anzalotti,
For.
Councillor Arthur,
For.
Councillor Demoski,
Against.
Councillor Gow,
For.
Councillor Hayes,
For.
Councillor Jamieson,
Against.
Councillor Lansbury,
Against.
Councillor Liu,
Against.
Councillor Mort,
Against.
Councillor Punn,
For.
Councillor Stratikopoulos,
Against.
Councillor Wang.
For.
6 votes for, 8 votes against.
I declare the motion lost. Our next item is NM09725. That's the Overland Flow Floodplain Risk Management Study and Plan. Councillor Wang, who has moved this, put forward this motion, has now disclosed a pecuniary interest on the item and has vacated the chamber. So
I move the motion, Madam Mayor.
So we need to seek leave for the item to be moved by another councillor, which I'm happy to grant. So Councillor Gow, you're going to move this motion. And I do need a seconder.
Yeah, I'll second.
Councillor Hayes has seconded that. Councillor Gow, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to save everyone a bit of time. I'm not going to read out the motion, but to summarise it and why I'm supporting and moving this motion, it is the unintended consequences that matter. It is common sense that should prevail. We know that residents in Hurstville, Beverly Hills, Kogarah even, I know the motion addresses Peakhurst as well, have not experienced a flood, I think, in more than 100 years. Residents have come forward to me, myself personally.
Councillor Gow, I'm going to correct you that is not correct, because if you read the flood study, it documents that residents reported that they've experienced flooding. So if I have read the flood study and it states that, so that statement is incorrect.
I am speaking on behalf of residents who have approached me, residents who I have engaged with, who've lived in Beverly Hills, who've lived in Hurstville for more than 60, 70 years. Not once has their property flooded. And the council to issue letters to say you are now potentially in a flood prone area. We can all here imagine the shock, the surprise, and the consequences of such action and directive that these residents would feel. To be absolutely clear, I stand with residents. I always stand with the community, not hire gun consultants to serve a bureaucratic agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Gow. I'm going to have to address your comments. So you've had residents tell you that they're shocked that they've received the flood tagging. So in 2016, there was a flood report done, and those people would have received a flood notation. In 2023, there was a new flood study adopted. My understanding is there are less people tagged in the 2023 flood study than there were in the 2016 flood study, because council undertook a more rigorous assessment of what areas are flood prone in that zone. So
Council made a mistake 10 years ago. Should have made
the councillor has not made a mistake 10 years ago, Councillor Gow. I'm going to speak against. No, I'm going to speak against the motion. If you could please allow me to do so.
Jerry has the right to second. That's the second motion.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. Sorry.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a very simple question out of respect to the code of meeting practice? Does Councillor Gow run this meeting, or does the chairman, i.e. yourself, run this meeting? Just
yes, as the chair, I run the meeting. So I'm going to speak against the motion, and I will then come back to Councillor Hayes and give him the opportunity to speak as the seconder. So I'm speaking against the motion. The motion from Councillor Wang reflects a misunderstanding of the technical reports and processes that underpin our flood management work. First, the 2023 Overland Flow Floodplain Risk Management Study and Plan is a technical report prepared in strict accordance with the New South Wales Government's flood-prone land policy and the Floodplain Development Manual. So Council hasn't made up the process. We're doing it in accordance with the state government's guidelines. It was reviewed extensively by Council's Floodplain Risk Management Committee and Technical Working Group, which include consulting engineers, council engineers, representatives from the Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water, so a state government department was involved in overseeing the technical report, Sydney Water, another state government agency, and the State Emergency Services. The modelling was tested against real-world flood data and community provided information. So as I said, if you read the flood report, Councillor Gow, as I have done, it has submissions from residents who reported flooding at their property. So this claim, this broad statement from people in the community who say it's never flooded in Beverly Hills, well, they should read the report because residents have submitted evidence to oppose that. And there was community information provided in 2019, in 2022 and in 2023. So again, the inference that council did not adequately consult on this study, I reject. There were 3 opportunities there, and council made amendments to the flood study and went back out for community consultation again. So council officers have confirmed this study is technically accurate, it's comprehensive, and it does not require further review. So that is the technical study that identifies which pieces of land are subject to flooding in heavy rain, and those properties are tagged with the flood tagging. That's not up for debate. That is just the facts, capturing the data and the facts as they stand. I want to go on to clarify part B of the motion, which references peer review. There is a quote cited in the motion, which you can see up there in part B. This quote is not relevant to the 2023 flood study, but rather to the flood impact risk assessment, which is called the FIRA. Council undertakes the FIRA when there is a proposal to increase densities in the flood-prone area. For example, as council here would be aware, council received the FIRA for Beverly Hills in February this year in relation to the Beverly Hills Master Plan, which did propose to increase densities in Beverly Hills. That master plan has not yet been updated because a second risk assessment on the gas pipeline, due to its change of use, was required. So we paused the master plan whilst we waited for that second risk assessment to take place. That assessment, I understand, is expected to be reported to council in November. And once received, consultants will update the Beverly Hills Master Plan based on the evidence from both the FIRA, which we received in February, and the gas pipeline assessment. At that point, the master plan will go back out on public exhibition. And if there are submissions and evidence received indicating that the FIRA, the flood impact risk assessment, requires peer review, then council would consider commissioning it. That's in relation to the assessment of risk where we're increasing densities in flood-prone land. It is not in relation to the technical study of which area is flood-prone. Regarding part G of the motion, to adopt Sutherland Shire Council's flood management process as best practice, the inclusion of this item, quite frankly, shocked me. It was well reported that Sutherland's initial approach to flood management led to community backlash and calls to restart their studies. So to make a suggestion that that is best practice, I've really struggled to figure out how Councillor Wang came to that conclusion. So our three-step consultation and technical review process, which we've all had explained to us, was specifically designed to avoid those outcomes. So as you know, we mapped the data. We mapped the data and flagged properties where more than 10% of flooding would take place in a heavy event. We then reviewed those results against stormwater and building records. And then thirdly, if anything was unclear, engineers went out and inspected on site. So it's been a very rigorous process to get to the flood study and to adopt that. Community consultation for the 2023 study has been robust and consistent with Council's engagement policy, including notification to all affected property owners and multiple consultation rounds. Engagement rates for flood studies are historically low, especially in areas already identified as flood prone. But our process that we're now undertaking has set a new benchmark for transparency and community engagement. So in summary, this motion confuses two separate processes, misrepresents best practice, and proposes unnecessary reviews of a study that is already technically sound. So for these reasons, I cannot support this motion. Councillor Hayes, do you wish to speak for the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. The material that I have here has been quite comprehensive and detailed, as we've discussed. Easily read by a large proportion of the population. However, I guess in terms of multicultural issues, whether or not this type of communication could be translated or communicated in the dominant minority or majority language speaking people that reside in the area, and whether or not any consideration has been given to that.
Sorry, Councillor Hayes, I'm not aware of what it is you're holding and what it is in relation to, and so I'm not sure what what reference you're making.
Okay, so it seems that for the members of the community, it seems to be a catch-all where certain sections of the community are sort of claiming that they don't understand or they don't appreciate or don't are not able to interpret the flood studies, and also to use the schematic diagram that I show here from the council. Would there be any method of engaging those people who are not literate enough to cover these steps, or could assistance be given to them?
Okay, so in relation to the flood study, the 2023 flood study for the Hurstville, Peacock and Mockdale Woods, that is adopted. It was adopted in 2023. So that is not up for debate. That study is fact. So council, as I explained just now, when we received the updated risk assessment on the new use of the gas pipeline, that will be combined with the risk assessment of the FIRA, which is the flood impact risk assessment, the assessment of what is the impact on increasing densities in a flood prone land. Those two pieces of evidence will inform an updated Beverly Hills master plan, and that Beverly Hills master plan will go back out on council on public exhibition. And at that point in time, I'm very confident that we can work with our planning staff and community and culture team to ensure that it is made available in multiple languages.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Excuse me, I was wondering if I could speak. I did have my hand up earlier.
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
That's okay.
Catch that, Councillor Pine.
If the chair will grant me the indulgence.
Councillor Gao speak for it, and Councillor Hayes. So I'll allow you, Councillor Pine, to speak for the motion as a third person.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to comment that yes, there have been flood studies, but I've also met with residents, numerous residents, both Kingsgrove and Beverly Hills, and parts of Hurstville. The facts that you're stating that there hasn't been flooding, there has been flooding, but what I think they're trying to demonstrate is whether the flooding is due to inadequate stormwater drainage. And I've seen it myself. I've seen it in my end of Kingsgrove. I've seen it in Beverly Hills on the other side of Morgan Street. There's flooding, and then there's inadequate draining. And I've seen the videos that the residents have presented me. So I just wanted to set that record straight. From my perspective, we should understand that some of this has to do with some of the infrastructure in the area just really not being up to scratch. And is it right to be tagged in a flood study? I'm not sure. And I think that's what this motion is trying to get to. Has the flood study gone through the right processes to ensure that we're ticking all the boxes, and that if a house is being tagged, is it done so in the right way with the right number of facts and the right sort of perspective on it? Because we can't forget that these residents have raised valid concerns. And yes, I understand that there are processes and the study's gone through, you know, what the council feels is adequate or appropriate, but we need to also turn our minds to what these residents have reflected. And let's have a look at, you know, how many stormwater drainage problems we've had in the area, and how they add up and contribute to some of the flood or some of the inadequate water drainage incidents we've had in the last few years in that area.
Thank you, Councillor Punn. I just want to clarify that Council hasn't undertaken the flood study in how it feels is the best way to do it. We've done it in accordance with the state government's guidelines. So it's not about how we feel is the best way to do it. We've done it in accordance with the guidelines. I'm going to put a question to the Acting Director of Assets Infrastructure in relation to the role that the flood committee plays in the phases of the flood mitigation. So first phase is identifying the areas that flood, and then using that information to do the second phase. If you could please talk through that process where we're taking the information of what floods and how we will improve infrastructure accordingly.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. To allude to Councillor Punn's point, the modelling is undertaken on our existing infrastructure. That takes into account, but yeah, the infrastructure is historic. With urbanisation, there is obviously an increase in impervious surfaces, which has an increase in our stormwater network capacity issues. So the study identifies through our modelling processes the zones within the LGA where there are either issues based on direct flooding issues, or there are infrastructure concerns where it becomes an issue. The next stage is the development of management plans, where we identify future infrastructure improvements and things like that. So that will then have a bearing on future tagging, would be my assumption.
And so without doing the tagging, we can't be informed on where is the best places to spend our infrastructure funds to improve stormwater networks.
Correct.
Is that correct? And I'm going to put another question to the Director of Business and Corporate Services in relation to funding for stormwater. What is the stormwater levy, and when was it last increased?
Through the Mayor, I believe it's been over 20 years. It's $12.50 and $25 for a house, so $12.50 for a unit. So it is a regulated charge, but it hasn't increased by CPI or, I guess, the development associated in the area. So therefore, we've all felt it's a shortfall, and we've advocated to the state government, and they have acknowledged that it needs review because it is an issue that needs addressed due to these studies.
So when you say it's a regulated fee, could you explain what that means, please?
It's set by the state government.
So the state government sets a fee, and we collect that money for us to spend on infrastructure upgrades for stormwater.
Correct.
And it hasn't changed in 20 years.
Correct.
And it's $12.50 per house.
$12.50 for a unit and $25 for a house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, thank you. If I may, Madam, just to further comment, I think then highlighting Councillor Wayne's body of the motion that goes to communication, if that process is able to be communicated to residents, what I'm trying to avoid here is that residents' houses are being tagged as part of the study, but then as the Director pointed out, if the infrastructure is aging and is part of that study and part of the reason why it's flooding, then perhaps the residents should know that, and that they can plan adequately and accordingly for that. That's kind of what you don't want to be tagged, and then it's like, well, it's because my drainage is buggered.
I think it's not so much about notifying the current resident that lives there, and that's the reason why the flood notation goes onto the certificate, because it's about informing the future people who may purchase the property that there is a flood risk there. So if a property floods and council knows it floods and we don't include that flood tagging on that property, then we're not being fair or transparent to future potential owners of those properties by withholding that information from them. So we have an obligation to inform people so that they can be buyer beware when they're purchasing properties. So the flood study is just presenting the facts. It's nothing else.
I understand, but I just think, especially as Councillor Hayes says, some of those people from cold backgrounds may not understand and appreciate that nuance. When you see flood, you think flood. You think, you think torrential rain and low-lying valleys and an inadequate thing. But, it's not the nuance there of, yes, a factor of it is infrastructure may not be getting across. And I think that is what is really important. And what I think Councillor Wang is trying to point out.
I highly encourage Councillor Pan and Councillor Wang as the ward councillors to accurately inform the community about that, and as your role as a councillor, take that on board, the responsibility of accurately informing them of that information. Okay, so we've had we've had 3 speakers for, 1 speaker against. Does anyone else wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Liu?
Yes, so my point is in very general. I think when I try to understand the whole process, as my background graduate from university is economics and statistics, which I learned from that is a way of thinking, it's a mindset. If 1 example, 2 example, if a bunch of example in front of you, it won't represent the whole matter of fact. How to get those reality out of all of you think that's representing the whole thing? You're back to the professional study. Otherwise, where are we going to rely on? Right. I'm pretty sure someone told you they never experienced those flooding in how many years. I'm pretty sure you will hear another opposite story. Right. So where as a councillor, I remember Councillor Jamieson, when you speak on the former previous note of motion, that every decision that as a councillor we make is very weighty. It's impact the people's life and impact the community. Right. That's why when we make the decision, it's a very serious and careful process that we need to follow. So that's why I back to this mindset. I think we really need to really rely on that mindset, not just being told by individual or bunch of individual cases. That's back to what I mean. It's not the whole matter of fact. We're going back to the professional study. We rely on those professionals' report. Otherwise, where all those facts are coming from? Right, that's my point. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Who was that? Sorry, was that you?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, just trying to get my head around it. So in terms of what Councillor Pun said about the infrastructure, so if there's a house on the top of the street and the gradient goes down on a hill and that house isn't connected properly to water and they go and their stormwater goes directly out on the street, and then all the houses on the bottom of the hill get flooded because of that one property, is not how is there not a knock on their door to say, hey guys, you need to connect your water correctly, so you're not posing a problem, so those houses down the street aren't getting tagged, and then the knock-on effect of that going on a report and that impacts my property value. I'm just trying to get my head around it, because these are the concerns that residents have.
So yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. I guess it's an accumulative effect. So we're not talking about illegal infrastructure connections. We're talking about council's stormwater network. So it's constructed to meet certain parameters for rainfall, maybe 10-year events. So when a rain event goes beyond that 10-year rain event, the capacity of our network is expanded, and that's when flood events occur. So it's not necessarily a direct connection of one illegal connection to the street. It's an accumulative factor. We're in an urbanised area with heavy impermeable surfaces going in. So there is grading and concretes going into the network, and that's that shift between what the network was constructed to cope with and what we're dealing with now. So the study identifies those zones that are modelled for the different rain events. And then from those rain events, that's where the network then identifies our capacity and where we're beyond capacity. And then that's when that flood tagging events occurs. So that identifies the events and the locations where that occurs. And that allows us to, in the future, where there is capacity to do something to mitigate that.
Just another question. Thank you. Yeah, so with the older houses, the ones that are 56-year-old, I'm talking about the 5 row, the red bricks, who aren't connected. What's being done about those then? Because I know that all the new homes, they actually are. They have to go through due course and be connected legally. But the ones which never were, because the houses are old and they haven't had upgrades.
I'll have to probably take that on note as more of a regulatory thing than we're discussing the network. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask the Director of Planning to provide a comment on that one.
No, through Madam Mayor, councillors, new developments have an obligation to meet what's in our LEP called the Essential Services Clause, and that covers off on stormwater. Stormwater does make the world go round, as some of you know, in the DO space, because it can get very easy when it goes downhill and you connect in easily enough. But if you're on the south side of the street and you have a large development, your responsibility is to manage your stormwater. And that may be a combination of trying to get an easement through your property, adjoining property, or contain it on site through on-site detention. That's where the difficulty becomes. But the point is, in relation to new development, it's on the onus on the owner to manage their stormwater.
I guess again, I'm implying that all those properties that aren't connected in the way that the new ones are, and that impacts on those properties that may be getting flooded because of the way the great end of the street. Yeah, and then they get tagged. That's
okay. Okay. All right, Councillor Lansbury, did you wish to? You're looking like you're going to press your
I
button.
just wanted to quickly speak against it, if that's okay.
I'll allow one more speaker against.
Yeah,
I'll allow
I
3
feel-
4, so 3 against.
I feel like we've gone completely away from what the intent of the motion is. And the way that I interpret the motion is it suggests to me that the study back in 2023 is flawed and needs to be peer reviewed. And actually going back and redoing a whole lot of work that's already been done. And that's why I don't support this particular motion. I would like to highlight a couple of paragraphs in the director's comments, and it says that the 23 study underwent comprehensive review by Council's Floodplain Risk Management Committee and Technical Working Group, including the appointed consulting engineers peer reviewer, council engineers, Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water, State Emergency Service and Sydney Water. And then it sort of goes on to say that council is planning a review in 2028. I just don't really see the point in why we'll be going back to something that was adopted by council in 2023, had already, I would consider those peers, that peer review with all of those agencies and experts involved in that. I also think there's a bit of misunderstanding. Perhaps, Councillor Hayes, the flyers that you were holding relating to the current flood studies in Kogarah Bay and Blakehurst Ward, because I know that there was some sheets that looked a bit familiar that you were sort of looking at before, and the reference that Councillor Punn made to stormwater, I don't see any reference to that in this motion. I understand where you're coming from, Councillor Punn, because it's a thing that is raised quite regularly. There, you know, as time goes on, there are very few landscaped gardens. There's mostly concrete and very little blades of grass in between them, and that is an issue that would have to be addressed. But I think we've got completely off the topic. The topic at hand is the intent of this motion is suggesting that the 2023 study is flawed and we need to get it peer reviewed when it already has been. So I would suggest councillors not to support this motion, because we'd be repeating work that has already been done. There's work currently being done on the Kogarah Bay and Blakehurst flood studies, which are out on exhibition at the moment. And I think that's what the focus should be. We should be looking in the rearview mirror when this is going to be reviewed again. It looks like in 2023, which is only another, 2028, which is only another 3 years away. So, yeah, I don't support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Lansbury. We've had 3 speakers for, 3 speakers against. I'm going to put the motion and ask if we can please go around the room to take the vote.
Madam Mayor,
I'm against.
Councillor Allison,
Against.
Councillor Anzalotti,
For.
Councillor Arthur,
For.
Councillor Demoski,
Against.
Councillor Gow,
For.
Councillor Hayes,
For.
Councillor Jamison,
Against.
Councillor Lansbury,
Against.
Councillor Liu,
Against.
Councillor Mort,
Against.
Councillor Pan,
For.
Councillor Stratokopoulos,
Yes.
5 votes for, 7 votes against. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 8 votes. 8 votes
8
against.
votes against. Okay. I declare the motion lost. Our next motion is NM 09825, scheduling investigation of drainage works, Bibby Street, Carlton. Councillor Gow.
I'm going to withdraw this motion just for this meeting tonight. Thank you.
Motion's withdrawn. We'll move to NM 09925, pedestrian priority zone, Forest Road, Hurstville. Councillor Wang.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I move this motion to, first I would like to thank the director, George, for the support. So I move this motion to investigate the establishment of a designated walk street, a pedestrian priority zone along Forest Road in Hurstville, specifically between Woodwell Street bus interchange area and Palm Court. For those who's not familiar with that area, so that's just between the.
Sorry, Councillor Wang, are you going to read out the motion or are you speaking to it? Because if you're going to, if you're just reading it out, I'll wait until you've done that before calling for a seconder. But if you're speaking to it now, I will call for a seconder.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Can I have it?
Are you moving it as published?
Yes.
Okay. If I could call for a seconder.
Yep. I'll do it.
Councillor Pan,
Thank you. Yes.
please
So
go ahead to speak to the
okay.
motion.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is just a call for investigation to see a potential. We have a designated walk street in the center of Hurstville. Yeah. So this motion is to try to have a vision to revitalize our precinct with safe pedestrian pathways, encourage community interaction, support local commerce, and celebrate our multicultural heritage. So this transformation are not just speculative. So they build on proven precedents within our own local government area. So in addition to the the most popular annual Lunar New Year festival, Forest Road has been successfully closed on multiple occasions, notably on the Christmas tree light market and the summer light night market. That's the period post COVID economic recovery and community activation, and those events was also delivered under the New South Wales Open Streets program and our Festival of Place initiative, and got the grants from the state. So every closure was managed with precision and quite successful, with traffic control, stakeholder consultation, and minimal disruption, but it delivered the measurable increase in foot traffic, the rail time, and the local revenue. So a permanent walk street, by contrast, would eliminate the recurring expense and the logistical burden of temporary closure, while permanently securing those same economic and community benefits, delivering prosperity without the annual setup, take down, and compliance overhead. So talking about the economic benefits. So the research shows a pedestrian-friendly precinct would increase the retail by up to 40% in similar urban areas, as people linger longer, spend more, and support small businesses. In Parramatta, take two examples. One in Parramatta's East Street, for instance, nightlife spending surged by 71% in recent years, turning a diamond street into an economic powerhouse, celebrating cultural diversity through festivals and events. And Chatswood Mall is another one. So it has become a thriving pedestrian mall, seamlessly connecting shops, cafes, and public transport, where driving economic growth in the CBD. So across Sydney, study shows walkable streets not only stimulate the local economy, but also improve public health, reduce congestion, and create more enjoyable urban spaces for everyone. So this is also opportunity to promote a brand for our Hurstville CBD area. For example, we can call it driving lanes, which I already mentioned 2 months ago. So this could be a cultural resonance identity that position Hurstville as Sydney's premier multicultural workable destination. So I would also like to talk about another aspect. So this is the evidence of the public demand. If we go down from the Hurstville train station escalate and walk towards the Hurstville Square, so we often see the jaywalking, pedestrians cross unsafely amid moving vehicles. So this is a non-compliance, of course, but it also shows a public demand for a walkable environment. So this area already functions informally as a pedestrian corridor, confirming the suitability for formal destination. So of course, I have consulted lots of local businesses, and the support is so overwhelming, how to say. And so people they say they really miss some of the times of the new year, so they want more of that. So essentially, that's the sentiment. So there's one persistent challenge along Hurstville CBD is the lack of loading zones and the temporary parking spots. So this proposed walk street actually presents a strategic opportunity to systematically resolve these issues through integrated planning, delivering not just the preservation, but the enhanced delivery infrastructure. So the loading zone, so I just quickly, give me 30 seconds. So I researched on the loading zone issues for Chatswood and Parramatta. They have solutions for time-based and everything. So, yeah, I just finished there. So at the end, so I want to say this is a economical viable and traffic visible, and give us a brand name. So I look, and what I'm calling now is just the feasibility study investigation, not spend a lot of money now. So I hope you can support that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wang. Councillor Pun, do you wish to speak as the seconder?
Yeah, just really briefly, I just wanted to commend Councillor Wang for this idea. I just note in item 4, Chatswood Mall, Parramatta's East Street. The other one that comes to mind is obviously Burwood Chinatown, which my colleagues are probably sick of hearing me say, but there are some wonderful examples around Sydney where they are now bustling because of a dedicated corridor where shops and pedestrians are converging. I look around Hurstville, and I think it just could be so much better if you had a concentrated area of shops. I think the funny thing about Hurstville is you've got a good set of businesses and then a bit of a gap, another good set of businesses and a bit of a gap. And, you know, as you exit, for example, the Hurstville station, one side on the left may not be as busy as the other. And I think if council can play a role in encouraging businesses to converge on a dedicated street with that place marking, with the signage, with the opportunities for businesses to promote themselves and celebrate wonderful things like the New Year Festival, I think it's a great opportunity and can certainly lift Hurstville back into the ranks of some of those more vibrant suburbs and back where it really should belong within Sydney. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pun. Does any councillors wish to speak against this motion? Councillor Liu?
Yes, I will speak on against this one. I will put forward a foreshadowed motion to replace it. So am I going to speak now or?
You intend to move a foreshadowed motion if this motion is lost?
Yes.
Yeah, and you wish to speak against this motion now?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Please go ahead. You can speak against the motion.
So back to what I just spoken about as a councillor, every decision and choices we made is very weighty, which means those decisions must be made very carefully and backed by sufficient evidence and justifications. Any of us must not pursue an end only for its own sake, because doing so is so dangerous and toxic in short term and long term. So that's why if any of us, like a councillor, pursues any particular gain over the community needs, the consequences can be very significant. So that's why when going back to this particular motion, well, the concept of what street we put a pedestrian street aims to create a lively and pedestrian-friendly destination. And I appreciate the ambitions from part of the community if they want to see this. But it's very important we learn from the experience from the Parramatta East Street and Victoria Avenue that we mentioned by Councillor Wen as a study cases. Because when we look at Parramatta, their East Street is indeed become a vibrant dining and entertainment hub, there is no doubt, and attract a strong foot traffic and support the local nighttime economy. However, I talk to the people, even I'm not living there, I've got my evidence and my dialogue with those councillors working in there. I know I got the information from them, even they have several challenges, include loss of parking and vehicle access, inconvenience for business that rely on quick drop-offs or deliveries, and reduce safety and activities during late hours or bad weather. So that's why if we are going to adopt any similar model, it is very essential to carefully assess the local conditions, community needs, and business diversity to ensure the benefits really truly overweight the drawbacks. So that's why there is no one we can really, if you know, from any political reason that we wanted to pursue, or for any actually media exposed, that will result in any very significant consequences. Because why I say that, because this one I realized from someone from the Chinese media even sent me a link. Councillor Wang already said the motion you put forward, of course, to promote that. I don't know why you are so desperate that you haven't talked about this in front of us, right? So that's why that could be the consequences. It could be very significant. That's why back to this one, we'll wait for the meeting to debate it, to argue it, and then You can talk to media, no problem. Anyone we want to promote us, am I right? Because we all supported by the local resident. We wanted to show the resident we are doing the right thing. That's no doubt. Everyone can do it, but we'll wait till tonight's meeting, right? So that's why when I try to look at the evidence from Parramatta, from Chatswood, I really did a very detailed research, which include 2 comparisons of Hurstville Forest Road versus Chatswood Mall. Because I'm coming from my background, I wanted to always using the data evidence to say their stories rather than just pop up from my mind. And then the other one comparison is a Parramatta East Street versus a Hurstville Forest Road. I want this document being tabled at council meeting as well. So that's why when I look at after I do the research and look at listen to the local community and look at the executive manager and the director's comments as well, I draw a conclusion that what is suitable for our community. I draw a conclusion as a flexible event-based activation model is safer and more adaptable and better suited to Hurstville local scale and the economy. Because within this comparison, I try to, look at all the aspects from the location and function, scale and catchment, transport infrastructure, economic structure, and pedestrian experience, and council and state investment. A lot of those in details, and community and business impact, and the parking and traffic flow as well. So that's why I want the council to table this one. There is a lot of details in here. Okay, thank you. So that's why, based on all of those and the director comments in very detail, thank you for the director to provide all of those comments on that, looking at it carefully. So that's my conclusion is really coming from that. So a flexible one, like what we are right now, we are doing. So that's why all the reasons I wanted to put a foreshadow motion to replace the current motion.
Okay, so we'll vote on this motion before us first. I just check if any other councillors wish to speak against. If not, I will put this motion to a vote. If we could please go around the room and take the vote on Councillor Wang's motion, seconded by Councillor Pun.
Sorry, Madam McNair, try to reply. Yeah.
I allow you the right of reply on the motion.
Okay. So by listening to Councillor Lu, it seems she's talking about the same motion I put forward, the same thing about the feasibility study and all the traffic, parking, business. So which part you are against? I just didn't get it. So this of course there's a problem about the I just report about the loading zone. As I said, I didn't have a chance to go to the detail because I don't want to dictate what the director and the expert have to say. But I said Chatswood and Parramatta, they already have solution. They have timed access windows, short-term curbside loading, and freight consolidation hubs and offline loading docks. And this is very feasible to Hurstville as well. So we can have 30 minutes morning load. So I don't want to go to all those details because it's a part of the feasibility study. And you talk about the media. So that's my vision. I want the Hurstville to have a workable zone. Of course, I can talk to the media. I'm not saying the council has passed the motion or whatever. I said I want to promote this motion. I want to promote these ideas and seek community feedback. So what else are you against? Your foreshadow motion in substance is very similar to mine. If you have anything to amend, you can amend. So what point did you?
Councillor Wang, you have your opportunity to take the right of reply. So if you want to conclude those comments, and then we will put this motion to a vote.
I also want to raise this point order for the meeting code of meeting practice. So because you cannot have a foreshadowed motion, which is essentially the same thing in substance as mine. So can I through you to ask the general manager through you to see if because they are all very similar. The name is the similar, Walk Street. That's the essence of this motion.
I'm
happy.
I'm satisfied that the foreshadowed motion is substantially different from the motion put forward, so therefore it qualifies as a foreshadowed motion.
I don't agree. I don't agree. So this which part is different? You want to have a walk for street? You want the feasibility study, talk about the economy, traffic.
Councillor Liu has not put her foreshadowed motion as yet. So what we'll do is we'll finish debate on this motion.
Yeah.
And then we'll proceed to the foreshadowed motion, and we can address that. But Councillor Liu has not put the foreshadowed motion to the meeting as yet. I don't believe it proposes a walk street, and that is what is substantially different about the motion. So that's what qualifies it as a foreshadowed motion, because it does not propose a walk street. So if we could put this motion to a vote, please.
Madam Mayor.
I'm against.
Councillor Allison.
Against.
Councillor Anzalotti. For. Councillor Arthur.
For.
Councillor Demoski.
Against.
Councillor Gow.
For.
Councillor Hayes.
For.
Councillor Jamison.
Against.
Councillor Lansbury.
Against.
Councillor Liu.
Against.
Councillor Mort.
Against.
Councillor Pan.
For.
Councillor Stratocopoulos.
Against.
Councillor Wang.
For.
8 votes against and 6 votes for.
I declare the motion lost. And we will now bring up the foreshadowed motion from Councillor Liu. And if Councillor Liu, could you please read out the foreshadowed motion?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. My foreshadowed motion has 4 different points. The first, note the strong community support for a vibrant and accessible Hurstville City Centre, consistent with the themes in the new draft Economic Development Strategy, we call it EDS, and Nighttime Economy Study and associated action plan. B, investigate the feasibility of temporary weekend pedestrian activation in Hurstville. And not only that, and other suitable locations across the Georges River LGA for consideration as part of the Economic Development Strategy, EDS, and action plan. And the third one will be consider streetscape and safety upgrade could include lighting, greening, seating, and facade improvement to support business activity and pedestrian comfort as part of the Economic Development Strategy, EDS, and action plan. And the last one, that the title of this motion been updated to Hurstville City Centre activation and access enhancement to reflect the motion's intent. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
That has been moved, that foreshadowed motion has been moved by Councillor Liu. If I could please call for a seconder. Councillor Demoski, seconded that. So Councillor Wang, to address your comment previously, I'm satisfied that this is substantially different in that this is not proposing a pedestrian walk street in Hurstville, therefore the motion is a foreshadowed motion. Councillor Liu, do you wish to speak for this motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, for the opportunity to speak on this motion. In very detail, I just emphasize the case study in between, Parramatta and Hurstville, and the Victoria Avenue, Chatswood Mall versus Hurstville. In addition to that, my approach is very different to the permanent Wall Street approach, because my approach would be still standing on the current activities are flexible, and the event-based activation that the council is approaching and try to promoting, that one is more suitable for us. Why I'm saying that? Because this approach would preserve accessibility, minimize business disruption, and continue strengthening Hurstville's economic and cultural diversity. It's also backed up by the evidence that Hurstville already has successful temporary street closure for major events such as Lunar New Year Festival and Weekend Market and other cultural events. These examples really demonstrate that a temporary closure rather than permanent pedestrianization can really achieve the same community and cultural benefit while retaining traffic functionality. And then council doesn't need to contact another round of public consultation apart from the one following the EDS. The feasibility study for the pedestrian street should be explored as part of the EDX action plan rather than as a separate standalone project. And council officers are also working on modifications to the DA to expand the total number of major events currently kept by DA conditions, according to the director's comments. And this will allow more major events in the Hurstville CBD. More major events of Forest Road can be accommodated without require a permanent road closure. So that's why I draw my conclusion into my foreshadow motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. Councillor Dmowski, do you wish to speak as the seconder?
I reserve my.
Anyone wishing to speak against the motion?
Madam Chair, can I just ask a few questions through you? Yeah. So I just want to seek clarification. Yeah, it's new. So for Councillor Liu, so you are proposing, what's the title of your motion? What's the subject of your motion?
So the title of the motion will be updated. It's not up there on the screen, but it should be say to the Hurstville City Centre Activation and Access Enhancement.
Okay, so the feasibility temporary weekend pedestrian activation, that's the key words, right? So what does that mean?
Sorry, it's mean that the wording put up on the screen.
That doesn't mean road closure or what does it mean, or more of the activity or more events? Does it include the road closure or not? Go this way for that CBD area. I think that's the question. I'm just asking the difference between my motion and the motion, because I'm suggesting feasibility of permanent closure and the temporary testing of the road closure first. And I just want to understand, does this involve that or not?
This motion does not propose any permanent closure of the road.
Or temporary closure or weekend closure. Just want to clarify.
My understanding, and I might just put a question to the acting director of community and culture, is that council closes this section of the road once a year for the Lunar New Year Festival at present. And it takes a lot of approvals to get that through, and it's not an easy process to get that approved. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, council does close the section of the road once a year, and because the significance of this part of Hurstville is a major bus route, as well as the impacts to residents and shopkeepers there. It does take a lot of consultation for this once a year road closure. So, yeah, what you've said is correct.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, so I may have, through you, Madam Chair, I may have another question. So all these points, any points not included in the existing ETAs or nighttime economy? Because I didn't see anything new here. Just acknowledge feasibility of activity, consider street safety, upgrade lighting. That's 100%. It's already in that plan. Already.
Well, I think the economic development strategy is currently in draft. It hasn't been exhibited as yet.
It's in the draft. So that, like the street, upgrade and lighting. It's already.
This motion, I believe, is calling for that strategy to consider the options that are put forward in this foreshadowed motion. That's how I interpret it.
So yes, what my comments is, so there's nothing new here. It's all part of the strategy already.
Councillor Wang, you're absolutely entitled to vote against this foreshadowed motion. There's no obligation to vote for it.
Yeah. Okay. So what I would say, so there's no harm. We just try to activate the CBD. So I will support that one.
Your call. Yeah. Okay. So we've had speakers for. If there's no speakers against, I will go around the room. Put the motion, please.
Madam Mayor.
I'm for.
Councillor Allison.
For.
Councillor Anzalotti.
For.
Councillor Arthur.
For.
Councillor Demoski.
For.
Councillor Gow.
For.
Councillor Hayes.
For.
Councillor Jamieson.
For.
Councillor Lansbury.
For.
Councillor Liu.
For.
Councillor Mort.
For.
Councillor Punn.
For.
Councillor Stratokopoulos. Councillor Wang.
For.
That's 13 votes for, 1 against.
I declare the foreshadowed motion carried. We move to questions with notice. The first is QWN 03725, projected operating deficits in the council's long-term financial plan. Councillor Wang, any further questions?
Just through you, Madam Chair. So about the $9 million. So I read from the reply saying there's a commercial funding and everything.
I think that's on the 2 more questions with notice down. Is that in relation to the Edgbaston Beverly Hills car park?
Oh yeah.
So we're just on the first one, which is the projected operating deficit from the council's long-term financial plan. Any further questions on that one?
No, thank you.
No. Question with notice 03825, Shivers Hill Shopping Centre installation of public amenity. Councillor Anzalotti. Any further questions on that one?
No, thank you.
No. QWN 03925, Edgbaston Road, Beverly Hills car park. Councillor Wang, this is what I think you're referring to.
Yeah. So it's through you, Madam Chair, the director. So this is $9 point some million. Do we really have a special funding, or it's just paid for the debt? Yeah.
Through the Mayor, their funds received for action as per the resolution and were placed in the relevant reserve, so they have not been spent. They're in reserve as per the resolution of council.
Okay, just confirm. So it's in the reserve, right? Not spent yet, right? See that? Yes.
Yeah, as per I said, with action the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Questions with no notice. QNN 01125, reconstruction of a new aquatic facility at Carles Park. Timeframe for executing project agreement. Councillor Gow, any further questions?
Not at this stage.
QNN 01225, delivery of the lower mid-rise housing program and the transport-oriented development program. Councillor Wang, any further questions?
Sorry, which one is this one?
delivery of the low and mid-rise housing program and the transport-oriented development program.
No, thank you.
Next is QNN 01325, Penshurst Town Centre and Streetscape Improvements, Bridge Street Green Space. Your say results, Councillor Hayes.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hayes. QNN 01425, Traffic Study Options for Park Road, Carlton. Councillor Gow. Any further questions?
Not at this stage.
QNN 01525, Request Project at the intersection at Carrington Avenue and Warwick Street, Hurstville. Councillor Pund.
Yes, thank you. A note with a little bit of amusement, it's project at the intersection. I've had a preliminary discussion and the feedback from the residents is that they are quite still adamant that they'd like to see some consultation, some detail behind the decision. I think it would be a valuable step in ensuring that council makes the right decision here and
Sorry, Councillor Pund, if you have a question, if you could put the question.
Can council please assist in performing some sort of community consultation, noting that I've already had a preliminary discussion with the general manager and the director.
Madam Mayor, I'll take that on notice.
Thank you.
We have no further business, which is the case. So there being no further business, no other business on the agenda, I declare the meeting closed at 10:35 p.m. Thank you, councillors and staff and members of the gallery for your time.